Good morning, everybody. It is the Mike Missanelli Show, ready to roll as we approach another Eagle game this Sunday, a game that they should win handily. So we'll just count on that, right? They have no chance to lose this game in my mind. So our focus has to be on other things today. Now, yesterday we talked about whether this team, being running back based, being rushing attack based, would last and actually win a Super Bowl against the odds of teams that win Super Bowls. The teams that win Super Bowls usually pass. So we talked about that yesterday. But what's important that we also talked about yesterday was where the game will be played, the NFC title game. And if it's played here in cold weather, that running game plays. If they play it in Detroit, well, maybe it's a different story. It's so important. And thus, tonight's game, Thursday night game, is very important to Eagle fans and the Eagles in general. We have some statistics here on who will get the number one seed. And if the Eagles get the number one seed, of course, that benefits them to the point where they go, we host every game. So, Bill, I know you were digging into more statistics yesterday and last night. What are the Eagles' percentage chances if the Lions lose tonight to the Green Bay Packers?
So it's interesting because...
This is Bill Colarulo, by the way. I'm Mike Missanelli. We have Ray Dunn. The whole gang's here. All right. So there you go.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Ray's still recovering. He went to the Sixers game last night and saw that.
Oh, thriller.
Another loss.
A thriller.
Another loss. But tonight's an important game for Eagles fans to pay attention to because you got the Detroit Lions hosting the Green Bay Packers. If the Lions win tonight, the Eagles' chance of being the top seed in the NFC drops to 12%. If the Lions lose tonight to the Packers, it's an even 50-50 split for the Eagles to get the top seed in the NFC. So the numbers I dove into, Michael, is I wanted to see how important the top seed would be for the Philadelphia Eagles because that's what we keep throwing around. How important is it that they would get the first round bye and then host the NFC Championship? Well, you remember the NFL changed in 2020 where only the one seed gets the bye. So you're talking 8 teams now. We have an 8-team sample size. Shockingly, only one top seed has won a Super Bowl since they switched to this new formula. It was the Kansas City Chiefs when they beat the Eagles back in 2022. Only 50% of the teams that were a top seed went to a Super Bowl. But I'm throwing those statistics out the window because this is why I think it's important. The Detroit Lions, who are 11-1, who have dominated a lot of teams, it's not even close how much better they are offensively at home in a dome than they are away outdoors. They've played 10 of their games indoors this season. 10. They're averaging 34 points a game. They've only played 2 games outside. They're only averaging 22 points a game. So you're talking about a difference of 12 points a game indoors versus outdoors. And we haven't even gotten into the cold weather like you would probably have late January, Philadelphia hosting an NFC Championship game. I think it's extremely, extremely important if the Eagles want a chance to go to the Super Bowl that they host the NFC Championship game and not have to go to Ford Field in Detroit.
All right, this is a game that a lot of people are on board with the Packers. They don't give the Lions much of a chance tonight, which is really interesting to me. And let's look at why. Detroit has been without defensive players, and they're all banged up. And now they have to come back on a Thursday. We're talking about, obviously, Aiden Hutchinson early. The defensive tackles aren't going to play in this game against the Packers. DJ Reader and Owazuke, or whatever, however you pronounce that. Josh Pascal is out. Malcolm Rodriguez won't play. The linebackers are on IR. Left tackle Taylor Decker is going to miss tonight's game. What's the line on this game?
Lions are actually favored by 3.5.
They are.
They are favored by 3.5. Look, it's in Detroit. Both teams are coming off of a Thursday game, I believe, right? Did Green Bay play on Thursday night too, Ray, on Thanksgiving?
Yep.
So you got both teams with normal rest. It's just, Mike, if this game was in Green Bay, Packers all day. But the Lions, they're just at home. They're a different team, man. They are a different team. We got to hope Dan Campbell's boneheaded decisions show up tonight.
Of course, I know. I was waiting for that to happen. All right, so tonight is big for the Eagles, and but I look at the rest of Detroit's schedule. There's another loss there.
You would think,
There
right?
really is. The Eagles now, the latest power rankings have the Eagles 2, right behind the line. So it goes Lions, Eagles, Bills, Packers. In the fourth slot, sneaking up on everybody, and then you get the Vikings. So, those two teams are trying to make a push. They're both ahead of the Chiefs in the power rankings. So the NFC is the stronger conference right now.
Yeah, it's interesting how that's working out now. But look, you can't overlook the Bills and even the Ravens that the Eagles just dominated. I think they're good football teams. But, you just made me think of something. I keep focusing on the Lions. The Lions. It's going to be Eagles-Lions. Are we underestimating any of these other teams in the NFC?
No, we talked about this yesterday. Listen, let's face it. The Packers and the Vikings are nice teams. They're not at the level of the Lions and the Eagles. Do you actually believe that?
I don't, but you never know what happens when teams get on a winning streak headed into the playoffs. Like, who expected the Packers last year to go into Dallas and dominate the way that they did, the way that the Dallas Cowboys had been playing at home? And I know Eagles fans out there are saying, well, that's what the Cowboys do. They choke in the playoffs. I get it. But you just never know if a team gets hot at the right time. I don't know if we should just be overlooking the Packers and overlooking the Vikings. I think the Eagles are a better team. I think the Lions are a better team. But one game, anything can happen in one game.
All right, we're going to talk about this all day long. We'd like to get your feedback on it, on where you see this going. I have to be honest. I see it going to the Eagles' favor right now. I now think that they're going to host the NFC title game in Philadelphia.
That would be very important.
The Lions are just banged up. They've got one or two losses left in their schedule. I'm not sure the Eagles do, but then that goes back to the 17 in a row thing that we'll talk about that they would have to rattle off to win the whole thing.
Yeah, so I've expressed those concerns before. If the Eagles win out and they're the 2 seed, they would have to win 17 games in a row to win the Super Bowl. Even if they win out and they're the top seed, they would still have to win 16 straight. But the Lions have already won 10 in a row.
Yeah.
So if they keep winning,
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking even crazier numbers.
But they're not. See, the Eagles have a better chance to keep winning than the Lions. Do you agree with that?
Yes and no.
Yes and no?
Because they have the Packers tonight at home. Mm-hmm. Then they play the Buffalo Bills at home.
Yeah, it's still two pretty tough teams back to back.
They are. And I got into this conversation with my dad yesterday about home field advantage not really mattering. It doesn't matter necessarily with crowd noise. Sometimes you can get past that. But when you're talking about a Bills team that plays outside, we all saw the snow and the weather and how cold it is. But you're talking about a Lions team that plays indoors. They are built for an indoor stadium.
I get it, but wouldn't the Bills feel refreshed by playing indoors as well? They're a good team, so they don't have to play in bad conditions. Wouldn't that loosen them up?
It's possible, but you're right. The best chance of the Lions losing is the next 2 weeks. Because then they go on the road to Chicago. I know they almost lost on Thanksgiving to Chicago, but they're a better team. Then they go on the road to San Francisco. The 49ers are a mess. They're not going to have Christian McCaffrey. They're all banged up.
Well, these two games are important. That's why I say, like, the home field advantage is more important when you're playing outdoors in cold weather than it is indoors. I think pro football players love to play indoors. It's comfortable. They don't have anything to worry about, no elements. It makes them faster.
It does.
I'm not
but,
saying that's such a home field advantage for the Lions.
Yeah, but go back to what we spoke about yesterday. The way that this Eagles team plays, with the physicality on both lines of scrimmage, the way they pound the football, they run the football, wouldn't you much rather have that game in a cold Philadelphia stadium?
No, there's no question. But I'm saying, as far as the Bills go, having to go to Ford Field, I don't think that's that bad of a deal for them.
But it would be better for the Eagles if the Lions lose tonight and win next week than the other way around. Because if they beat the Bills, you still probably lose the tiebreaker because they would have a better conference record than the Eagles. So there's a lot of things at factor here. But I'm curious if fans think it's as important as I think it is that the Eagles are the one seed.
All right, so it's 610-632-0975. We'll also touch on the Sixers. Ray was at the game last night. The Sixers lose a heartbreaker to the Orlando Magic. And here's the deal. Podcast P was available yesterday, but Playing P was not available last night. And for some reason, people aren't outraged as much as I am by that. I don't understand it. Podcast P actually turns into Playing P and played last night, 20 minutes, they win the game. 610-632-0975, Mike Missanelli Show, back after this. Bag alert today. DB or not, we're playing today. We've gone a couple of weeks without it.
Is this the Rocky themed one too?
It might be.
All right.
Oh, you know this?
You mentioned it on air on Monday.
Oh, I did?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll explore it deeply. That could be our DB or not topic for today. And also, we have the man who covers the Carolina Panthers. David Newton will be coming on ESPN. He covers for ESPN.com, and he'll be on the show at 11:40. 11:40 for David. I'll give you a scouting report. The Panthers stink, and the Eagles should win the game. But we'll get into the specifics.
Yeah.
there.
Look, I know the Panthers are 3-9. The Eagles should dominate the game, but the Panthers have played better as of late. They won 2 in a row. Then they barely lost to the Chiefs, and they lost in overtime to the Bucs. So they're playing better over the last 4 weeks, but I agree with you. The Eagles should dominate this game.
Unless they take them really lightly.
Which Nick Sirianni's not going to let happen. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You know Sirianni's not going to let that happen.
So
I'm the smartest coach in the world.
Yeah, so today we're looking at our topic is the number one seed, which you may see in a Twitter poll from the other station. We're glad to provide content. Yesterday, the theme of our show was whether this style of offense could actually, and we talked about it all day. It was the major focus. So so Bill sends this to me, and I put a tweet out there, and it caused some consternation from people. But here's the deal, all right? This is the way sometimes it works. We talked about this topic. We introduced it at 10 o'clock. We talked about it. It was the main theme of our show. So here's my theory. A producer for that other station who does their afternoon show heard us and said, well, that's an interesting topic, and put it up in a poll. Now, if you believe that's a coincidence, that's fine, all right? But I've got these people trying to defend it. This is what it tells me. That producer of that other station who heard us do that has good taste in listening to midday shows. I'll give the guy credit. He'd rather listen to our show than their show. It's simple as that. And he's got good taste. He should. See, why would you listen to that midday show? You got to listen to this one. You get your ideas from this show. Yeah, and you put a poll up.
It's like
just fess up to it.
Remember the Monday Night Wars between WWF and WCW?
Yeah.
And WWF was taped, so WCW just say, look, this is what they're going to talk about on the other show.
Right.
So just stay here. It's a lot easier for you.
Right.
But here's what bothered me mostly, and it wasn't only the comments underneath your tweet. It was the comments underneath my tweet. There are so many people who came at me who said, idiot, defense wins championships. Idiot, running the football wins championships. No. Which means they didn't listen to the show because I gave you the statistics that would say otherwise.
Listen, there are fanboys for certain radio stations, and that's fine. But let's be smart about this, okay? This was our main focus. The producer for that other station, that other show, heard it, put up a poll, guising it under the fact that it was his idea. But again, he's listening to our show, which is what he should be doing.
Yeah, so hello to everyone who listens from the other station. Yeah. But here's what's crazy, Mike. We did that topic yesterday. Ray shared a really interesting article today that came from The Athletic, which did a little bit different of an angle, where I looked at the teams and where they ranked in rushing and whether or not that was a recipe for success to win a Super Bowl.
Yes.
This article looked at running backs that finished in the top 13 all-time rushing in NFL history for a season record. Like the Eric Dickersons of the world, the Adrian Petersons of the world. Only one of those 13, well, I should say 12 because they include Saquon, and we don't know how that's going to play out yet. Only one of those 12 running backs ever won a Super Bowl, and it was the 1998 Broncos with Terrell Davis, John Elway. Outside of that, none of those teams had playoff success.
All right, so why do you think that is? Because this is like another flange of what we talked about yesterday. Those are the facts. Now, why do you think that is? Because, what, the defensive game plan for a really good team in the playoffs focuses on shutting down the running game and says, what are you going to do now?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happens. I think when the stakes get higher and you get into the playoffs and you're going up against some of the best teams, obviously, because they're there in the playoffs, and the best defensive coordinators, they figure out a way to take away the rushing attack.
They load the box.
And probably in the past, when looking at these other teams, they didn't have a passing game that could win them a football game. And I think that may be the difference this year for the Eagles, where
they do have a passing game.
Even though they're 28th, and this is what some people, I think, made valid points yesterday on, even though they're 28th in passing, they haven't needed the pass. And I think if they do actually need the passing attack, when you have weapons like AJ and Devontae, and I still believe in Jaylen Hurts, I think they will be able to step up in the moment and make the big plays. Whereas probably other teams that leaned on the run didn't have that ability.
Okay, well, then that's our next assignment. And we have a break coming up. And I know you like to dig into your numbers. When Dickerson was that guy, when Adrian Peterson was that guy, what were the passing attacks for both of those teams?
And I'll take a look at that during the break.
Like, who was the Vikings quarterback back then?
Oh, man, who was the Vikings quarterback?
Who were the Vikings receivers?
So I'll take a look because we're going to Dickerson.
That year it was Christian Ponder.
Oh, wow.
Well, there you go.
Well.
And what about the 1984 Rams, Ray? Because that's when Dickerson set his record.
Jeff Kemp.
Well. Well, seriously?
Yeah.
Well, that should encourage Eagle fans.
And do you know where? Wait a second. Yeah, and they ranked 27th in passing that year. The Dickerson Rams, 27th in passing yards,
and what were the
second in rushing yards.
What were the Vikings?
What year was that, Ray, that the Vikings did?
2012 Vikings.
2012 Vikings with Adrian Peterson. What were they? I'm trying to figure out. I can't even remember who their receivers were.
Did they have
Christian Ponder?
They didn't have Randy on that team.
No.
Christian Ponder. Jesus. He was their starter?
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Go ahead.
31st in passing yards.
Ooh, wow.
Number 2 in rushing yards.
There you go. Hey, we
Mike,
just settled the issue.
But did we? Because the Eagles are 28th in passing, number 1 in rushing. Very similar statistics.
They're 28th? Well, they seem so much better than 28th, though. Like, who are the receivers that Ponder had? Who are the receivers that Kemp had? The Eagles have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert.
All right, the leading receiver for the 2012 Minnesota Vikings that had Adrian Peterson. Percy Harvin. You remember Percy Harvin?
Yeah, that was fun.
He had the concussion issues. Do you know how many yards he had to lead the team in receiving? 677. So you're right. Their passing attack was anemic. Kyle Rudolph, second leading receiver, their tight end. They had Michael Jenkins, Jarius Wright,
oh my God,
Jerome Simpson.
Oh, my God. That's terrible.
Although Jerome Simpson, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he the Bengals receiver who did that flip that landed on his feet in the end zone? You remember that play?
That's Thrash Pinkston quality right there.
Yeah, that's pretty ugly.
If people aren't encouraged by hearing that, even though the numbers say the Eagles don't have a good passing game, they have a timely passing game.
1984 Los Angeles Rams, their leading receiver only had 622 yards. It was Henry Ellard.
Henry Ellard? Was Flipper on that team?
Ron Brown. No Flipper on that
Flipper.
team.
All right.
Maybe if they had Flipper, they would have won some.
All right, 610-632-0975. So there you go. We just laid out a comfortable blanket for Eagle fans.
A comfortable blanket?
A comfortable blanket. Because the notion that you can't win with a running attack in the playoffs is mitigated by the fact that those other teams didn't have receivers that the Eagles have.
They did.
And they didn't have a running quarterback either. 610-632-0975 is how you get in. Back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Rapping for the Panthers. I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by PayPal. Get exclusive cashback offers in the app and with the PayPal debit card. Stack 5% more in your chosen monthly category and up to $1,000 in purchases. Don't just pay. PayPal. The 10-2 Eagles get set for Sunday's matchup with an improved Panthers team after a 1-6 start to the season with 6 double-digit losses. The Panthers have played 4 consecutive games decided by 3 points or less. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni met with the media yesterday and talked about not looking past this Panthers team.
I think that would be malpractice by us as coaches and as players if we were up for some games and not up for some games. We know that this is a talented team that is continuing to play good football.
We'll preview this game against the Panthers with ESPN's Panthers reporter David Newton coming up at 11:40. Elsewhere in the NFL, there's a big Thursday night football game tonight. Packers-Lions in Detroit. A Lions loss could put the Eagles in the driver's seat for the NFC's top seed this postseason. Elsewhere, the 76ers lost again last night, 106-102 to the Magic. They get the Magic again Friday night, once again, at the Wells Fargo Center. That game at 7 o'clock. And tonight, Flyers and Panthers, you can hear the game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Ray Dunn on the home of the 76ers and the Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Black Hole Sun. 10 o'clock hour, Mike Missanelli Show. It's brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. No down payment, no payments, no interest. For 12 full months, call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. All right, let's get to the text board. We have a lot of texts that have come in on the first part of this show and the topics that we have introduced. So, Ray Dunn with us today. Hello, Ray.
Hello, how are you?
We're going to talk about the fun you had at the Sixers game last night in a second. But what are the texts saying about our topics?
All right, we'll start with the 1 seed. Dawood checking in with us. This team has won how many games on the road? Did this team just beat the top offense on the road? So do I want the 1 seed? Yes, but am I frightened of facing the Lions on the road in the NFC Championship game? Hell no.
Yeah, well, listen, you'd rather have it here. That's the point. And it looks like that is very possible that you get the number 1 seed. Now, at one point, we weren't talking about that. It wasn't going to happen. And then we were talking about, well, you have to beat the Lions there. But right now, if you look, the Lions are really banged up. And they're going to face a tough team tonight that's on the come. I'm not saying the Lions are not as good as the Packers. I think right now the Packers, because the Lions are all banged up, could win this game. And then you got Buffalo. And I know both those games are at home, but still, they're going to lose one of those games.
And to Dawood's point about winning on the road, and you've heard me praise Sirianni's road record many times on this show. But hell yeah. You're damn right. But the difference is when I'm talking about having to go on the road to Detroit, it's not necessarily because it's just a road game. It's a completely different style of play when you are indoors in Ford Field with perfect weather, perfect turf, than it would be outside in Philadelphia. And you look at the teams that the Eagles have beaten on the road, these good teams. They beat Baltimore, an outside stadium, so it didn't have an impact. Cincinnati, an outside stadium, didn't have an impact. Yes, the Rams was a big one. That's indoors. But this Detroit offense, and I gave you the numbers to start the show, they're averaging 34 points a game indoors, only 22 points a game outdoors. That's why it's so important. It's not your typical home versus road game. It's because of the stadiums that they play in. That's why I think it's so important, Mike.
All right, so let's just say this. The Lions lose one. Who wins the tiebreaker at this point?
It depends on who the Lions lose to. That's why tonight's so important, because if they lose to the Packers, and then let's say both teams win out the rest of the way, the Eagles would have the tiebreaker because they beat the Packers. So they'd have a better winning percentage against common opponents. If the Lions win tonight...
Well, wait, hold a second. The second tiebreaker is conference.
They would be tied for conference record.
Okay, so then you go to the common games.
Then you would go to the common games.
All right.
That's why it's so important that the Lions lose to the Packers. NFC opponent, common opponent. But if the Lions win tonight and then they lose to the Bills, there's still a scenario, but you probably would have to have them lose another game down the stretch.
And hence, if the Lions lose tonight, it's 50-50 on the number 1 seed. But if the Lions win, the Eagles only have a 12% chance of getting the number 1 seed.
Mainly because they probably would lose most tiebreakers in that scenario. So that's why we got to put our cheese heads on. Go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go. Sing it with me, Ray. You know, Ray's a big Jordan Love fan.
Yeah, so I'm more.
He was ready to anoint Jordan Love as the MVP before the season started. Loves Jordan Love.
That's not true. That's not true.
Who would you take right now, Ray? Jaylen Hurts or Jordan Love?
I told you before the season I would take Hurts because I saw Hurts after the league adjusted to him. I didn't see that yet with Love. I got high expectations for Love.
I'm not buying. I think Ray's backpedaling here. I got to pull the audio.
I told you this before the season. I love Jordan Love. Don't start.
I don't know. You know what else Ray loves?
What's that?
Scarves. Apparently.
Yeah. Let's get to another text, and then we're going to get into this. What, did you see him go to the Sixer game?
I did not. I heard it.
Okay.
I heard from people who were there.
We got a scouting report on Ray's attire?
You know that song?
It's the same jacket.
Girls go crazy over. Wait, what's that song? Sharp Dress Man.
Yeah, Sharp Dress Man. It's easy top.
Yeah, that's you, Ray.
All right, we'll give you one more text.
All right, Mark and Conchi. We need the bye week that the 1 seed entails. I don't believe many teams with an early bye week like us have ever won a Super Bowl recently.
Who hasn't won a Super Bowl recently?
Teams with early bye weeks.
Yes, I've given those numbers before. You look at the last 20 years, having an early bye week has not been the usual path to a Super Bowl. But I think what skews that a little bit, though, when you look at history, you didn't have those Thursday night games mixed in either. So the Eagles almost had the mini bye week when they did their Thursday night game a few weeks back. So that helps. So the 1 seed would help if they get that bye.
There's less wear and tear on the running back, too.
The text that we have on the Eagles' concern.
Yes, we got someone checking in about the fact that they're starting slow. So it's Frank at Mount Laurel. What's up, Mike? Love the show. Long-time listener. First off, I feel great about this team, but I don't know how concerned I should be about the slow first half starts. It's not just the first quarter. We're 19th in the league in first half scoring. Other than the Steelers, every team ranked below us isn't a playoff team. We've played the 32, 31, 29, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23rd, 21st, 17th, 16th, and 13th. And this week, the 29th ranked defenses in the league. I know that we've had some injuries, and that has had some impact and contributed to some of the slow starts, but this is definitely a trend that the coaching staff and players have identified and still haven't corrected 12 games into the season. Some of this blame for the slow first half starts has to lay at the feet of QB1. A bad team is coming to the Link Sunday. A fast start by the offense is a must. And if not, we need to stop acting like this team doesn't have a potential glaring flaw.
You know, I used to think that was important, and I no longer do. Has it really mattered that they've gotten off to slow starts? And I know you can predict, if they get a slow start to playoffs, they can get buried. Well, they're not going to get buried. The defense is not going to let them get buried. So the Eagles are really kind of a canvas that is visible. This is what they are. They eventually engulf you. And so a slow start doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, so far there's been 12 games this year. The Eagles have been outscored 56-17 in the first quarter, but then they've outscored their opponents 303-162 over the last 3 quarters. So you're right, it hasn't been an issue, but is it going to be? Is that going to be the Achilles heel that comes back to haunt them in the postseason, where you got to play a team like the Packers or the Vikings or the Commanders or the Lions? They jump out to an early start, they jump out to an early lead, and now you can't make that up. It's something to be worried about. I'm not that concerned about it, but it is something when you're looking for what could potentially come back to haunt this football team. That's certainly one of them.
All right, let me move into Ray's scarf. No, actually, I'd rather talk about the game that made Ray wear a scarf. So he went to the Sixers game last night. Yeah, now, I people have to explain this to me. Why am I the only one that seems to be outraged by the fact that Paul George couldn't play last night? I can't believe it. Now there are 2 theories here. Either this Sixer fan base has become so beaten down that they don't care anymore, or they become permissive. I had my friend Steve text me, and he goes, "Not that big of a deal." And this guy is a rabid Sixer basketball fan. And so I go, dude, you become a Stepford wife. Like they have taken over your body that you're permissive to this stuff. I don't understand. It's a home game against a team that is also coming off a back-to-back that you can win if Paul George plays last night. And it wasn't important enough for them to play. Like, it was more important to the Sixers, struggling the way they are now, with the record of dreck that they have right now, to sit him out on load management because he played 37 minutes the day before against a terrible team that he has to sit out, and we just accept it?
I'm not so sure people are accepting it anymore, though, Mike.
There was no feedback. I was outraged that Paul George didn't play last night. Podcast P, non-playing P. I was outraged by that. Nobody else seemed to be outraged.
Here's the problem, and this is where the Sixers have gone down a dangerous path. The reason people aren't outraged isn't because they're accepting of what's going on. It's because they've checked out of what's going on.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's worse.
Either they're beaten down or they're permissive. And a good buddy of mine who's a rabid Sixer fan, I can't believe that he became permissive. He's not checked out. He was permissive of the fact. He doesn't need to play it in back-to-back. What? What are you talking about? Look at the team they tried to win with last night.
And they almost pulled it out. So you're right. If Paul George plays, they
20
win.
20 minutes. If he plays, they win it.
Ray, you were there last night. Was it a sellout crowd?
No.
I saw Mike share something. You could have got tickets for $2 last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, $2.
Yeah, the crowd reflected that.
$2 ticket. But listen, it was still an exciting finish, all right? They had the people that were there made it exciting. That's really not the point. The point is, why would you just give up a game? I don't understand. You need to win some games here. Paul George playing a back-to-back, if you manage his minutes, that's fine. How do you sit him out? This is what I don't get. If their record was a winning record, I could see it. They're struggling.
You just took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say if they were 14-5,
exactly,
as opposed to 5-14.
The timing for him to sit out is terrible.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday. The whole purpose of load management is because you want these guys ready for the playoffs, but you can't load manage your way out of the playoffs. At this point, you don't have the luxury of load managing anybody. You got to win enough games to get back into the race. And even put all that aside, don't you have to get the excitement back from the fan base a little bit? Don't you need to start doing some things so that people do care again? Because you don't think – I know we have things to say about Josh Harris and people necessarily don't like him. I don't think he's as bad as some go over the top with. But you got to think it's bothering him that you could get tickets for $2 to last night's game against the Magic, and you're only 20 games into the season. I don't think anybody predicted that one, Ray. So that's got to be bothering him where he would step in and say, listen, guys, we need to put a better product on the court. At the end of the day, we're a business that needs to sell tickets and sell merchandise and be profitable, especially as we're trying to get a brand new arena downtown Philadelphia, and instead they're putting out a terrible product.
Yeah, but how many of those $2 tickets are resale? He's probably made his money on those tickets. I have a friend that's got season tickets yesterday that's like, I got 2 tickets, free 99. Please take them. I was like, I'm already going down. Sorry.
Here's another thing that called me. I pick up today's Inquirer. There's a story about Paul George. Is he getting back to be the all-star Paul George? After a night where he doesn't play.
Well, who wrote the article?
I don't know. Was it Keith Pompey?
I don't know. He probably needs content. What else are they going to write about? This team's terrible.
But is the timing of that appropriate?
Probably not. I do. I feel bad for the people.
I must be an alien. I mean, seriously. I saw that last night, and I was talking about it on yesterday's show. How in the world does he not play just because it's a back-to-back?
Doesn't make sense to me either, Mike. We're together on this one. And I think I'm a little surprised. Did you see the sweatshirt Ray's rocking today?
Rocking a Sixer throwback Allen Iverson era sweatshirt designed by Pat Croce.
So I think you get away with it because it's the throwback today.
All right, but let's talk about the scarf now. Because Ray apparently is, he was in sartorial splendor last night as he went to the game.
What is he in?
Sartorial splendor.
Ray, do you know what that
means? I'm glad you're asking because
what the hell does that mean?
It means he was dressed okay, well. You know?
Sartorial splendor. I've never heard that one, Ray.
Well, what I expected you to hear it.
He's a wordsmith, this guy.
Sartorial splendor.
That we work with.
That means he was very dressed well. You look up the word sartorial, and you'll
Were you rocking Sixers gear as well?
No, I rocked quite literally what you saw me in from 10 to 2. That's what I wore to the game.
And you threw on a scarf.
Threw on a scarf.
No, I had the scarf on yesterday when I came in. There's no conversation the scarf when I came in yesterday.
Oh, I didn't notice the scarf yet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm a scarf man myself, Ray. So I'm with you here. Now, here's the thing, Bill. I am also a draper. I'm not a scarf tire.
Yeah, you just drape the
scarf.
I'm a draper. I'm a draper
really.
because I think it looks better when you drape it. It's just kind of like an accessory rather than
I disagree.
It's not a feature piece.
Now, Bill is a scarf knotter.
You fold it in half.
Yeah. So
fold the scarf in half, put it around your neck, and then you tuck the one end through the hole, and then it kind of looks like a. You know what I'm talking? It looks
like a necktie. It looks like a garret,
and it's nice and thick under there. Pull that one off,
it's
Ray.
Like a bolo. You do it like a bolo.
Yeah, it keeps you warmer and it looks cooler.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look cooler. The draper looks cooler.
Yeah, I'm going to continue with the drape.
Yeah. See, and this is enough. Let's put a poll up.
Yeah.
Let's have the other station put a poll up. Are you a draper or a tire with a scarf? That'll be today's poll on the other station.
Watch out, Mike. They're gonna come after you.
No, the producers. He's driving it right now. He's listening to the Mike Missanelli show. Today's poll will be:
if I see them wearing the tied knot scarf, I'm going to lose my mind. That's me. You can drape it all you want. Don't steal my style over there.
But I'm telling you, more people would be. I think most men are unscarf people. They're not scarfers.
Yeah, you know what it is?
I happen to be a scarfer.
So every scarf I've ever worn in my life, someone else bought for me. I think that's the problem.
Really?
I feel like most men won't go buy a scarf themselves. It's got to be a gift. It's like a gift from your significant other or your mom. It's a good mom gift. They give you a scarf for Christmas or something. I always get socks, underwear, and maybe a scarf.
It came with the long coat, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, you went with the coat that came with the scarf. Now,
Yeah.
that's a violation.
Wait a minute.
It's not attached to the coat.
A scarf
but-
came with the coat?
Yeah, it's around the coat.
Well, man, you got to get a coat and then you match a scarf. This is how you develop.
It's already
sartorial-
matched.
You also
sartorial
forget.
Why do you
splendor.
make things more difficult for
He's
yourself?
only 24.
Yeah,
So
I'm trying to learn the kid.
that's a Burlington
You know what I'm
Coat
saying?
Factory jacket right there.
I don't think you should say that about that coat. I'll take, but actually, I
There's
take.
nothing wrong with the bird.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with
I
it.
take a little
I'm
bit
saying
of
that
offense to that one.
for a 24-year-old, that's where I would have bought my coats as well.
It's a nice coat. Thank you very much.
It's not the Canadian goose. You know?
That's a brilliant. Oh my god! All right, sartorial.
And then you wonder why people think I don't like you.
Sartorial.
I didn't have to say it. You already know it.
Sartorial definition: relating to tailoring clothes or style of dress. Sartorial elegance. Sartorial splendor.
Look,
You see?
not all of us are award-winning authors on Amazon, okay? With your 2 books on there. You write 2 or 3 books? How many books you read?
I've written 3, actually.
What's the third one? I know
The third
the
one
Penn
was
State.
was a book that I did with my buddy Jeff Manto called The Transaction, and it was a book about his minor league baseball experiences
I didn't know about that.
and all the crazy minor league stories that you have to go through, and how he was like up and down like 30 times. He was in like 35 transactions, so it was called The Transaction.
Gotcha. That was before or after you wrote the
That
Perfect
was
Season?
before, and then I wrote The Perfect Season.
Perfect Season's a good one.
Did you read it?
You gave it to me as a gift.
That's how it wasn't my question.
I read some of it.
Have you read?
I did read some of it. I'm not necessarily
I
a
can't
reader.
even get any respect in this own little booth.
I did read some of it. I'll give it to Ray.
I give it to Bill to read. I think he would read it. Like
I
it's been
did read a
several
lot of it.
months now. When did I give it to you? Last year?
Yeah,
I
last
gave it
season.
to you last year when we were doing the post game show that we didn't get paid for.
You did give it to me then. By the way, what is this?
What?
YouTube chat. Bill doesn't know a damn thing about style.
Well, that's fair.
What'd I do?
You came after me, and you know who the YouTube chat's going to choose.
Phrase. All right. So yeah, are you a draper or are you a tire?
Yeah, 610.
Vote on our instant poll that we put up.
Or wait for the afternoon show at the other station.
Exactly. 610-632-0975. It's the Mike Missanelli Show. We'll get to your calls, your texts, and, of course, we have our scouting report coming up on the Carolina Panthers from David Newton, who covers the Panthers for ESPN, and we're back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Repping for the Panthers, I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Ace Hardware Home Services. Got a leaky pipe, having some issues with your heat? At Ace Hardware Home Services, they're around the block with everything you need to fix it. They've got the pros to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services. 10-2 Eagles getting set for Sunday's matchup with an improved Panthers team after a 1-6 start to the season with 6 double-digit losses. Panthers have played 4 consecutive games decided by 3 points or less. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni met with the media yesterday, talked about not looking past this Panthers team.
I think that would be malpractice by us as coaches and as players if we were up for some games and not up for some games. We know that this is a talented team that is continuing to play good football.
We'll preview the Panthers game with ESPN Panthers reporter David Newton coming up at 11:40. Elsewhere in the NFL, big Thursday night game tonight between the Packers and Lions in Detroit. A Lions loss could put the Eagles in the driver's seat for the NFC's top seed if the Eagles are able to win out following the Lions losing tonight. Elsewhere, Flyers back in action tonight. They've got the Panthers. You can listen to that game right here on The Fanatic. And we do have the 76ers coming up again on Friday night against the Magic. They lose last night to the Magic at home, 106-102. Their 2-game winning streak was snapped. I'm Ray on the home of the 76ers and the Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
I got a lot of stuff to get off my chest in the 11 o'clock hour. Mike Missanelli Show, 11 o'clock hour, brought to you by Grungo Law, your law firm when you need help because of an injury. Pray for peace. Prepare for trial. GrungoLaw.com. Okay, so let's just start. We're gonna have a lot of fun today. So we're gonna venture into topics that may not be mainstream sports topics, which usually makes for a better show because really right now the topics are not plentiful. But let's stay with this Sixer theme. All right, I'll start this with the Sixer theme, and then we'll wing it back to the Eagles. So last night, Paul George doesn't play. This is podcast. Now, I know one thing doesn't relate to the other. You're not stressing your joints when you're doing a podcast. So he had played 37 minutes the night before. They're back-to-back. They're playing Orlando. It's a game they could win because Orlando's coming off a back-to-back. They're also banged up. And they decided to sit Paul George out. Now, that rankles me. And I'm not like one of these guys that's an old-school guy saying, you should play every minute, right? I understand load management, but the load management also has to be balanced by circumstance. And the circumstance right now is that the Sixers are a losing team, and they need as much of a boost as they can get to get W's. Because otherwise, you're talking about the 10th seed, and a play-in tournament, right? So I think I'm being fair about this. But Sixer fans had no reaction to that last night. I was looking all over social media to see people comment, why wasn't Paul George playing last night? And it's either because they've checked out or they're permissive to it. Read this chat board guy.
Yeah, so there is a Sixers defender in our YouTube chat. He goes by the name Wawa Marvel. And there's a bunch of comments from him defending it, but the main one is expecting a guy coming off a knee injury who's clearly still dealing with it to just play a few minutes is stupid. Nobody asked Maxey to play a few minutes when he was out and we were losing. Let's put some rationale behind it. The team has bigger issues other than PG missing a back-to-back because of injury.
Maxey was legitimately hurt and didn't play in any game. Paul George showed the night before that he isn't injured.
Now, he's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So going overly cautious for that game last night doesn't make any sense to me. When the guy proved he could play 37 strong minutes. And he could help out and if you want to play him less minutes, you play him less minutes. And I don't have a problem with that. But Paul George being in a rotation is a lot better than KJ Martin or Ricky Council IV being in a rotation.
And last season, when Paul George knew he was going to hit free agency for a new contract, how many games did he play last year? 74 games. So he's certainly capable of playing back-to-backs. It's not like he's been load managed his whole career. He can do it.
But people now have become permissive, Bill, and this was my main problem early in the season. Oh, they don't have to play as long as they're okay for the playoffs. I hate that kind of an attitude. We're not that kind of fan. And somehow we've been browbeaten into being that kind of fan where we accept every little thing.
But you just said accepting so that they're ready for the playoffs. Mike, I'm not sure they're going to make the playoffs now.
Well, now you're right now. But at the time, they're going, oh, it's okay. It's okay. They have a plan. Keep them healthy for the playoffs. And I'm going, yeah, okay.
See, I was on board. I know that we had this battle when the season started. I would have been okay with George resting last night if they were 15-5, not 5-15. I would have been okay with load managing Joel Embiid if things had started differently. But the whole purpose of load management is because you want to have a healthy team for the playoffs, and there's no guarantee this team is even going to be ready for the playoffs. And then to your point that I'll give you credit, you made from the day one, what type of continuity is this team going to have when they never play together?
We're not even thinking about Embiid anymore. You hear people talking about Embiid? It's like so accepted that Embiid's not going to play that we don't even react to it anymore.
No, we don't.
We don't react to it.
But that's why I think the worst possible scenario has happened for the Sixers. People aren't angry. They just don't care. And that's the worst spot you could be in as a franchise. And it doesn't help the Sixers that the Eagles are 10-2, that the Flyers are playing well. They're back in action tonight, by the way, at home. against the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers.
I'm taking the Panthers. Money line.
Stop. You can't bet.
I'm sorry.
You can't bet against the Fly guys, man.
Let me tell you what I did last night. And first of all, let's go to the text board. Because there's a text on 76ers fans have quit, which I don't want to believe. I really don't want to believe.
Phil from Jersey. No one cares about the Sixers anymore. That's why. I agree with you, but in all honesty, they're being held together by a rookie phenom who's playing way above his level. Don't get me wrong, I like Jared, but this isn't sustainable at this level. And no one is even mentioning that there's no timeline for Embiid. Is he with the team? Is he ramping back up? Is he rehabbing? James Harden was right, and you can't trust Morey. This city is over their BS, and we're all just enjoying the Eagles. Go Birds. Well,
we are enjoying the Eagles, but this was supposed to be a two-team enjoyment. Like this period of time, I think, we thought the Flyers were on the come, but we thought that, oh my God, look at this! This season's going to feature the Eagles and the Sixers both vying for a title.
I remember when you had Charles in.
Yeah.
And Charles Barkley was saying how exciting of a time it was.
Exactly.
There was going to be 3 potential champions: the Phillies, the Sixers, the Eagles.
Correct.
And now we're sitting here. Phillies lost. Sixers are 5-15. At least we got the Birds.
You ever feel like nothing good was ever going to happen to you?
All right. So I listen. I just had to get this off my chest. I am not tolerant of this, and I want the Sixer fans to not be tolerant either. I don't want them to check out. I want them to still be engaged with this team. And the way you keep them engaged is you throw them a bone every now and then. And you go, Paul, listen, we're going to play you. Man, what's going on here?
Well, especially because they would have won last night if Paul George played. Even, like you said, 20 minutes, they're winning that basketball game.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Hux in Germantown. What's up, Hux?
What's up, fellas?
How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. Despite what the Sixers got going on right now, it's like right now the Sixers is like the disappointment child in the family that just keep messing up while the other 2 kids are doing great. You got the Eagles doing great. You got the Flyers doing great. You got the disappointment child.
You speak from personal experience with this, Hux?
No.
Oh, okay.
I've seen it around. I've seen it,
I hear you.
But I actually called because I had 2 questions for y'all, right? One is, do we win the Super Bowl with Vic Fangio's defense?
Ooh, the bend but don't break defense, sort of. Is that what you're saying? Bend but don't break. Yeah, now listen, I think that here's what Fangio does. He adjusts. He adjusts. I like if he's getting beaten a certain way, he adjusts. He's shown me that flavor all year.
Well,
so
right,
no, I'm not concerned.
Because the second half, when they come out, they play completely different.
They do, and he's had time to digest what they're doing, and he engulfs them. So no, I don't have a concern about that at all.
Okay. And my second question is, are we being too hard on Nick Sirianni? Now I know, he got his antics, but when I was looking at the stats, he got the 3rd best win percentage out of all coaches right now in the NFL.
Is this Bill? Is this Bill checking in?
No.
Hello, Bill.
Yeah, I know you're not asking if I'm too hard on him.
Bill's here and he's on the phone.
Asking, are we? I had to have some reflection. Are we being too hard on him?
No, not anymore, man. When's the last time we were hard on him? We haven't been hard on him in a long time.
I think we gotta do it every so often just to keep him humble a little bit.
Yeah, but we haven't been really hard on him, much to my chagrin. They've taken away a lot of my flavor. No, but the Fariani, but
gotta find out something to talk about.
Yeah, listen, I can't complain about him right now.
Hell yeah, true.
All right, no, we're not being hard on him anymore.
No,
in fact, I've lauded him for his maturity.
The last time
much good.
Yeah, the last time we were critical of him would have been the Jaguars game, going back 5 weeks now, because he made some questionable decisions in that game. I think there were about 6 of them that we could have questioned, but. Yeah, I don't think anybody's being hard on him anymore. I mean, the question now is, does he deserve an extension? And that's what people are debating, not whether or not he should even be back, whether or not he should be back with more years added on to that contract. It's a great day, Ray. It's a great day for us Sirianni supporters.
Wait a minute. There's a text on Tobias Harris?
I guarantee I know.
Are you kidding me?
It's because he dropped 27 last night.
Oh, he
27
did?
last night for Tobias. Suits up every night.
Yeah. Someone said it on YouTube as well that Tobias is available every night.
Tobias Harris over me?
They're comparing him to Paul George now. How quickly this season is falling.
Listen, when you play for a bad team, somebody's got to score.
How quickly, though.
I mean, that 27 shouldn't matter. You play for a bad team. Somebody's got to drop. You know?
He is available every night, though. You got to give him credit on that one, I guess.
He
doesn't get load managed.
There's no podcast T?
No, not yet.
No?
Not yet.
Please don't speak that into existence.
Well, that somebody, it was the texter, talked about Jared McCain, the rookie phenom or whatever. We didn't really talk about it, but the other night, why didn't Jared McCain play in the fourth quarter? Did you see that? Not last night. It was, I'm forgetting who the opponent was now, Ray, where they barely played McCain, if at all, in the fourth quarter, Nick Nurse. I don't understand. And he went with Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, they needed, they was probably looking for more of a defensive presence. I don't know. Rather than play, you can't play Maxey and McCain a lot together.
But I think his obsession with Kyle Lowry at this point, like, look, I love Kyle Lowry. He had a great career. Was that really the answer right now?
No. Yeah, I see Eric Gordon is now anchored to the bench. Literally.
And maybe Daryl Morey makes a big trade or something.
Man, I don't know.
Brings us back in.
I don't know what's up here. Well, I'm just like, I can only take this a game at a time. And last night, I'm going, well, he looks really good in that white sweat outfit, Paul. Yeah, he looked really good in it. I wish he had the uniform on, you know?
I want to say something positive about the Sixers.
Come on, podcast P.
Something positive here. They did get screwed at the end of the game last night. That was a foul on Maxey. The Magic are trying to intentionally foul him because it's a three-point game, so they don't want to give them a shot at a three-point shot. They intentionally foul and it doesn't get called. It was a bad call.
I was not complaining one bit.
Well, you weren't complaining.
And I'll tell you why.
And I was riding it with you.
After this break, I'm going to introduce 3 possible violations that I need the people to decide on. All right? Including one on me. 610-632-0975 is the Mike Missanelli Show. Coming up a little later, we get a scouting report on those always tough Carolina Panthers. Back after this.
Matt Fade.
Mike Missanelli Show. All right. Let me introduce a couple of violations. We'll talk about them in detail a little more. But last night, if you recall, I suggested betting $1 million on the money line last night on the Orlando Magic. Once we found out Paul George wasn't going to play.
But you didn't follow your own advice, and it got close.
Well, hold on a second. Because I looked at the line, and it said -5.5, right? So I go, you know what? I don't feel like spending the $1 million tonight. I'll spend a considerably less amount and still find a way to bet the Orlando Magic. So I teased the line down from 5.5 to 3.5. Now, first of all, is it a violation for me to bet on the Orlando Magic? At this stage of what we know about the Sixers, and as frustrated as we are, I want to add that, is it still a violation for me to bet the other team against my squad?
Personally, I find it to be a violation. I have never bet against the home teams. In fact, I rarely, if ever, bet on the home teams. I don't like to have money on the game because, to me, it's enjoyment enough if they win.
Well, I do both, and I'm not a fan better. Okay, I'm not. When you bet, you can't get into your fandom. You look at what the better side is.
Yeah, well, that's why I avoid betting on the Eagles or the home team.
So I could, like, the money line is high. I would needed to bet $1 million to make anything. Well, I don't have the $1 million handy yesterday, so I go, okay, let me bet a decent amount. But I don't like that 5.5 point line. So I teased it down to 3.5 for the Orlando to cover instead of the 5.5. What was the final last night?
Well, before the final happened, the Sixers were down 3. There's only about a second left, and they foul. And then the Magic go to the foul line, and he makes 1 or 2. They win by 4. I was like on the edge of my seat with you, Mike, because Mike texted me earlier in the night. I teased it to 3.5.
Of all the bad beats I've gotten in my life, that was not last night. I got a good beat.
What a backdoor cover.
They're going to pee people, and I'd love to hear from them. That's a violation, Mike. You should never bet against your team. And that's fine. I've bet against Penn State in the past. All right?
That's a violation.
I got news for you.
That's a violation.
When the side looks good, it's the money you make that's more important than your fandom. You can't get carried away with the fandom if you want to bet.
Yeah, I think last night.
Ray's shaking his head. He's disgusted.
Yeah, Ray would be very frustrated.
Ray's disgusted with me. Look at
the
him.
emotional hedge is okay. I'm actively rooting for this team to lose here.
I wasn't actively rooting for him.
Come on. You got a little fist bump when they didn't call that foul on Maxey.
No, Bill actually was what brought it to my attention. He goes, wow, what a backdoor cover. I didn't even have a reaction to it, to be honest with you.
But wait, Ray's saying the emotional hedge. Is that what you said?
Emotional hedge.
Because what you're saying is if my team wins, I'm happy. If they lose, I'm happy because I made money.
Yeah, which never works that way. But
listen, am I going to be devastated when the Sixers lose these days?
Well, if you were, you'd be devastated a lot.
You got to put everything in the pile here. All right, this is reasonable for me to. This team stinks right now. Why wouldn't I take advantage of it?
So through the process, were you just loading up on money, betting against the Sixers?
No, I'm not. No, last night I said, now Paul George isn't playing. It's a back-to-back. Orlando's a good team. $1 million on the money line. They should win that game. Now, had I bet $1 million, I'd look pretty good today, wouldn't I?
You'd feel pretty good.
But I didn't feel like betting that large sum of money. So I chickened out a little bit. But I had the perfect compromise when I knocked it down 2 points with the betting line. I thought it was brilliant.
It was a good bet.
All right, now let's get into a couple other violations. And again, we'll carry these over.
By the way, I said I don't bet on my own teams. I do bet futures. By the way, because I got the Eagles winning the Super Bowl.
I was going to say, you strike me as a guy that has the Eagles winning the Super Bowl.
It's fun.
Many years in a row.
I put the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. I put the Eagles winning the NFC East. I put the Eagles winning the NFC Championship. I had Jaylen Hurts over 3,500 passing yards. I got Devontae over 975. These are going to get close because of the passing game. I thought were locks.
I don't bet futures. Well, I don't want my money sitting in limbo waiting for a result that's not going to happen for months.
Well, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, I'm going to be doing all right. I got plus 1,300 odds when I did it.
I get it, but like you're just putting money out there, and it's not growing any interest, is it?
No, it's not.
That's what I mean. Like that makes
See, I like the futures
don't make
because
sense to me, where you have to wait for a result, whether you win or not.
Baseball futures are great because I'm just sitting there for months freaking out over it.
I did a parlay that I thought was brilliant, and I'm close but not close. You'll understand when I tell you. I did T.J. Watt, Defensive Player of the Year, Jaylen Hurts, MVP. I got plus 6,000 on that. Probably should have just done TJ with Saquon.
Sucker bets. Probably just sucker bets, man.
Yeah, but
they just suck you in. It's
when they hit,
when they hit, how many times have you lost a sucker bet?
Well, that's why the odds are so good.
Well, that's what I mean. Like you say, buy a lottery ticket. You get the same chance.
No, that was a pretty solid future.
Let's get Albert in here. Let's talk about the Sixers. Albert, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, what's up?
What's up? What's up, Albert? How are you doing?
Good, man. I wanted a couple Eagles points. I had a questionable violation on the old what's around the neck, the scarf.
The scarf?
Yeah. While it's fresh in my mind, you ever see Good Will Hunting?
Of course.
Yeah. So that real jerk guy at MIT wears it like 24/7, but he doesn't tie it. So that was my only thought. When you were talking about when you didn't tie it, I was like, man.
You talking about the guys they ran into in the bar?
No.
Skarsgård, the actor.
Yeah.
The mathematician professor. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like dumbfounded at everything to get someone to go see Robin Williams.
Yeah, well, he wore a scarf as an accessory wearing a sport coat.
Yeah, correct.
So you're saying that's a violation?
Well, I mean, he pulled it off, but it's not something I would rock. But
I got you.
Yeah, but anyway, as far as Paul George, I agree with you, man. Listen, load, man. And first of all, I don't know what's going on with Joel. If he's just in his head, a personal issue, or he's actually hurt. I mean, I could see him not even playing the season, really, at this point.
You know, it's heading kind of there. It is. I would not be shocked if they said, we're going to shut him down for the season.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked either. They're definitely not telling us the truth. And then as far as Paul George, I don't think that had anything to do with him, but I agree with you. You made a comment earlier. Okay, load management doesn't say you can't do it back-to-back. Maybe you don't play 35 minutes. Maybe you play 18.
Exactly. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking him to go 37-37, but he's got to be part of a rotation. The rotation stinks.
Horrible. It's dreck, and I got to be honest with you. I mean, a basketball game's 48 minutes. I probably watched 24 minutes of this entire season so far, and it's not because I'm jumping off the bandwagon. It's just bad product.
Yeah, I know. I get it, man.
Sports Update.
Rapping for the Panthers, I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Philly Sports Trips. Join Andrew Salciunas in Clearwater Beach next March for the spring training trip of a lifetime. Go to phillysportstrips.com and place a small deposit to reserve your spot. That's phillysportstrips.com. The 10-2 Eagles are getting set for Sunday's matchup with an improved Panthers team. After a 1-7 start to the season with 7 double-digit losses, the Panthers have played 4 consecutive games decided by 3 points or less. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni met with the media yesterday and talked about not looking past this Panthers team.
I think that would be malpractice by us as coaches and as players if we were up for some games and not up for some games. We know that this is a talented team that is continuing to play good football.
We'll preview the Panthers game with ESPN Panthers reporter David Newton coming up in the next segment at 11:40. Elsewhere in the NFL, there's a big Thursday night football game between the Packers and Lions in Detroit tonight. A Lions loss could put the Eagles in the driver's seat for that top seed in the NFC. Elsewhere, the 76ers lost 106-102 to the Magic last night. Loss snapped 2-game winning streak, and they'll be back in action Friday night against the Magic. Flyers and Panthers tonight at 7 o'clock right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update is also brought to you by Ace Hardware Home Services. Got a leaky pipe? Having issues with your heat? At Ace Hardware Home Services, they're around the block with everything you need to fix it. They've got the pros to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services. I'm Ray Dunn on the home of the 76ers and the Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hey, David Newton's going to join us in a few minutes, so let's get to the text board. We've got a lot of text on the Sixers and on the playoff picture and on the passing game, topics that we have gone over the last 48 hours. So, Ray, let's start with the not caring about the Sixers, which I don't like to hear. But go ahead.
We got people checking in consistently with that. We don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. The Sixers are dead to me. Go Birds. Coach Skip, North Philly.
but see, they shouldn't be dead to you. This is the thing. Like, you should be concerned about this. We should be applying pressure. Where this, like, they have taken the franchise and put it in a box away from everybody, and I don't like that. I'm at least trying to open a flap of the box.
Yeah, and right now the Eagles are a great distraction from the Sixers. But no matter how the season goes, it's over in February. So we need the Sixers. February, March, April. When's opening day?
No, listen, it's not what we need
30th?
that's important. The way I want to have pride in a basketball team that has a premier player. I mean, this whole time we have been kept at bay that this is finally going to pay dividends. It's going to come to fruition. And I hate the fact that we've bailed out on it, that the fan base doesn't care anymore, or that the fan base is permissive. I think the fans should be like me.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And
Really, let's go. Come on, let's change this situation. And one of the things is be dissatisfied with the fact they didn't play Paul George last night. Maybe that kind of pressure helps.
But what can the fan base do other than what they did last
apply
night?
Pressure. What can sports
They didn't really
radio,
show up.
What can sports radio do? Sports radio is supposed to light some fires that maybe are beneficial to putting the organizations on alert.
Yeah, I just don't think the fans have the anger. They just don't care. But see, what's bothering me is I know there's been a lot of people who have been critical of Daryl Morey. And I kept saying that, well, we're going to find out this offseason, talking about the one that just happened, because now Daryl Morey can really put his fingerprint on this team. When he got here, he inherited Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris, and I know people didn't agree with some of the trades he made, but he was working with problems that were already in existence when he arrived. This offseason was the opportunity. They had a ton of cap space. They had a ton of assets. It was pretty much a clean slate outside of Embiid and Maxey to build around those two guys. And what we have to show for it is a 5-15 start. So I don't know how much longer I can defend Daryl Morey, because the people who were saying he's a one-trick pony, which is you just go out and you sign the biggest star and see what happens, they're being proved correct right now.
Let me bring something up that I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with. Is Maxey playing at top efficiency?
Well, it's hard to say that anybody is when they're in the bottom of almost every offensive category through the first 20 games.
Shouldn't we expect Maxey to be better, or is Maxey only a star player when Embiid is there?
I think Maxey is a star player with another piece. I don't think you build around a guy like Maxey. I don't think the people calling for them to just build around Tyrese, he needs somebody else. I'm not saying he's not a great player. He's an all-star. But he's not the main piece on a basketball team, in my opinion.
What is his three-point shooting percentage right now?
Let me pull all this.
Because he was 0 for 7 last night.
Is that bad?
And he's
30%.
He's shooting 30% from 3.
Which 2 years ago, he shot 43% from 3.
He did. Now, a lot of that is coaching. Now, listen, they're applying defensive pressure because he's an offensive threat. He's one of the few offensive threats. I get it. But shouldn't you be scheming up clearer three-point shots? Or is that the case, or is he just not shooting well? In other words, doesn't Nick Nurse have to put him in better open positions to get open threes?
Yeah, I think I could agree with you on that. I think if I'm looking at who I'm angrier with, Nick Nurse or Maxey, I think I'm probably angrier with Nick Nurse, because I don't think he's done anything to create for this team. But then maybe you're saying, well, Maxey should be able to create his own shot. He should be able to go ISO and win, but you just haven't seen it.
Looks last night.
And you just missed him.
Yeah.
Listen, all right. I'm just, I'm apoplectic. Let's go to Drew in Westchester. Is this my old pal Drew from Westchester?
Hey, Mike. It's been a while, man.
What's up? What are you doing?
Yeah, I haven't talked to you since you've been back, man. Welcome back. I'm glad to hear you.
Thank you, man. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, dude. So, I finally got a chance to call in and talk some Sixers with you. Not that that's a very appealing topic at the moment. So, what do you think? I mean, I'm kind of like a casual Sixers fan. I mean, they're probably my fourth out of the 4 sports. So, I mean, I like watching them, obviously, when they're credible and, and competitive. But the way things are now, I mean, What do you see happening? Do you think they should just kind of just go through the motions?
Listen, here's the plan. I think what they think is there's going to be some kind of a rally when everybody plays. Now, is that feasible to think that Joel Embiid is going to actually be able to play? They think it is. I think that a lot of people are thinking that, here's what we know. They're not going to win anything, right? But they're thinking that maybe in the playoffs, some kind of lightning will get in a bottle. All three guys will blend, and they'll be really competitive. That's what they're thinking. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. This whole plan was faulty from the jump to think that they could just load manage the hell out of these guys and then get to the finish line and be ready to compete in the playoffs. There was something wrong with that premise, in my view.
Yeah, I think it was kind of wishful thinking, too, to think that they could, get those three guys all healthy at the same time and do something in the playoffs. So, yeah, I'm not really going to hold out much hope for them. I don't want to be critical, but I kind of, at this point, would rather just see them go for a top pick in the draft.
Oh, see, there it comes. There it comes. The top pick in the draft.
I hate to say it, but, why waste the season when we can, waste the season?
Oh, man. I can't. Drew, listen.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, it's not. Your thought is what a lot of people are thinking. We have talked about this before. I see it all over social media. Maybe they just tanked the season for a good draft pick, and I'm going, really? This is what it's resorted to? From them signing the big three to that?
I know it's a sucky thing to feel, but I don't see it happening this year for him, Mike.
All right, it's got that kind of vibe on it.
I know we're going to get to Dave in a second, but I just don't even know how they would tank the season. So okay. We're going to shut down Joel.
They don't play him the whole year. It's how they tank the season.
But even if you shut down Joel, the team is probably good enough with Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, and some of these other pieces where they're going to be middle of the pack. And if you're middle of the pack, you don't get a first-round draft pick. You got to be bottom 6, and you got to win the lottery.
Well, they're not winning with those guys now anyway. They're not. Why are they going to win?
They're not going to win enough games to be a contender. But do you think over an 82-game season, even if they shut down Joel, that they're a bottom 6 team?
Look what they're doing now. They're a bottom 6 team. It's the same personnel that you're thinking is going to make them rise.
I just can't imagine they would finish that low with these guys. I mean, the fact that we're even talking about this is ridiculous. 20 games into the season. I don't think there's a single person out there, Mike, even the most pessimistic Sixers fan who didn't love the Paul George signing or the Caleb Martin signing. There is no one that could have predicted 20 games in we'd be talking about tanking the damn season.
All right, well, let's talk about a team that's really lifting our spirits here. And a lot of people think this should be an easy win against the Panthers, who they should have won that game last week. Let's talk to the man who covers the Carolina Panthers for ESPN. He's on the Comcast Business Hotline. David Newton joins us. Hello, David.
How you guys doing today?
We're doing really good. Okay, so now it's a team that's on the lower rung coming into a team that's on fire that a lot of people think can get to the Super Bowl. What do you think the Panthers' chances are this week?
Well, if the Eagles do what they do best, and that's run the ball, I think it should be, as you said, it should be an easy victory. The Panthers haven't stopped the run against anybody. I mean, even though they've played better the last 3 games, since they've gotten DJ Wonnum, their outside linebacker, back from injury. Everything's been good except for the run defense. They're last in the league, even over those 3 games before that they were last in the league. So if you just hand the ball off to Barkley and let your offensive line do the rest of the work, I think you got a pretty good chance of making this game a blowout. Again, the Panthers are playing better. They're doing some things. I mean, their defensive coordinator, Idro Evero, who is a disciple of Vic Fangio, as you guys know well up there, as their defensive coordinator. He mentored him for a while in San Francisco. So that scheme, while vulnerable to the run, they can cause some problems elsewhere. So it's going to be interesting to see. That's going to be where it all is going to be decided, right up front with that running game, and that's what it looks like to carry the Eagles all year.
Yeah, let's look at the good and bad. Barkley steamrolled the number 1 rushing defense last week against the Ravens. The Panthers are giving up almost 31 points a game, which is last in the league. They gave up 236 on the ground at Tampa Bay last week. But the balance is that the quarterback is playing much better. 298 for Bryce Young last week and a touchdown, 260-plus in his last 2 games. What are you seeing with this quarterback?
Yeah, before we go there now, I mean, Bryce has been playing a lot better, but I know they're last in the league in points allowed, but over the last 3 games that they've been playing better, they're only, I think, 18th there, allowing around 24.3 points a game. So that has improved. They're getting better there. But Bryce is really making decisive decisions with his running, with his passing. He's making throws that you just never imagined him making his first year and a half. It looks more like the Bryce Young you saw at Alabama. There was some throws he made last week. There were probably like 5 of them that just made you go, wow, where did that come from? So he is playing great. The offensive line is playing great. They got away from the run game last week, and I think what was significant about that was even though the run game was stopped, Bryce was able to kind of carry that team and keep it a game going back and forth to the very end. And at a play or 2 made by the official gone the other way, they may have won that game outright. I know there's a lot of question about that Adam Thielen play in the first half where they thought it was a touchdown, but the officials called it the other way. So Bryce could have had another touchdown pass in the game last week. So he really is playing well. Looking more like the player they thought he would be when he came out.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. But first of all, he's been tough to sack. I mean, he's been sacked once in his last 46 dropbacks, which is pretty good. I assume that's because he's got good mobility in the offensive line. But how close was the organization to bailing out on him?
Bail, I think, is a strong word there. I mean, I think they kind of bailed on him when they benched him after an 0-2 start and went with Andy Dalton. And then Andy won his first start, and then he lost 4 straight, but he was going to remain the starter. Were it not for the car accident that Andy was in where he sprained his thumb, he may still be the starter. I know they wanted to get another look at Bryce, but Andy was at least playing well enough where the offense was efficient enough where they felt like he gave them the best chance to win. So the question now, I guess the question earlier in the season was, would they bail after the season on Bryce and move in another direction? But Bryce has played so well that the question is, what are they going to do? I don't think they'll use whatever high draft pick they have on a quarterback. My thoughts are that they're going to stick with either Andy Dalton as the go-between if he needs, to put a veteran quarterback in there, or pick up another veteran quarterback and let Bryce compete for the job next year. Because I think what he's done here these last 4 or 5 games has been enough to show them that he has a chance to be the player they thought he could be.
Now, Dave, we're lucky here in Philadelphia because the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles is Jeffrey Lurie, who does a really good job of running that organization. Carolina has Dave Tepper. Now, I haven't seen many things in the news this season about Dave Tepper, but he was all over the news last year, throwing drinks at fans, going into a restaurant to talk about them putting a sign out front. What is it like covering a team with an owner like Dave Tepper running the organization?
Well, it has been different from that perspective because there have been some stories, like you mentioned, with the drink toss and the signage and him going in and taking the hat off of the guy at the restaurant bar to try to make his point. So, yeah, it's been different. But he has seemed to have done a better job this year of kind of staying in the background, not really, interfering as everybody thought he was interfering before. Nobody knows exactly how much he has interfered here over the last few years, other than the fact that he's fired a lot of coaches, and that's the constant turnover. That's the biggest thing that's really set this organization back. As you know, when you replace a staff and the head coach, it just takes a while to get things going again, and they've replaced the last 2 in 2 straight years, and 3 of the last 5 years have had a coaching change. So his patience, I think, has gotten a little better about this. I actually talked to him a little bit yesterday and on the sideline, and he played Augusta National recently. He was talking about how the challenges of that and what that was like for him. So, and he's done a lot of really good work in the community, especially with supporting the recovery from Hurricane Helena earlier this fall. I mean, that devastated a lot of Western North Carolina, and David Tepper's been one of the first to give and to give the most. And they had an event yesterday afternoon where they were back there doing it again. So his football team's not done well, obviously, and he's gotten a lot of negative publicity because of that and some of the things that he has done. But I think away from the field and things like the hurricane relief, that he's done a lot of positive too. So it's been an interesting ride. So he's from kind of your area a little bit, I guess, because he grew up in Pittsburgh. So he's a different guy in a lot of ways. It's hard to figure things out exactly where things are going to go under him. I think they're starting to turn, but only time will tell.
So apparently I have to own an NFL franchise to play Augusta? Basically, is that what the message is?
No, I don't think that was the message. No. I played Augusta National.
Oh, you have?
So, no, that was the message.
How the hell did you get on Augusta?
Well, I was covering the event, and they have a media.
You did the media thing. He won the media lottery, my man.
Any birdies, David? Any birdies at Augusta?
No, I had a par, but the greens. It was the day after Tiger had won one of his 5 Masters.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
The greens were so fast, and I 3-putted the first green from 10 foot away, and from there it was in my head. I think 52 putts later, I was pleased that I was where I was with my score. Tee to green, I hit it pretty well.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah,
All right,
awesome.
So listen, I'm thinking as a reporter, it'd probably be interesting to cover an eccentric owner. What's not interesting is to cover a bad team. How do you feel about that? How do you go through that?
It's been with now 7 straight years they're going to have a losing season.
Yes.
They've nothing like that before. I mean, the oddity of their whole history is they've never had back-to-back winning seasons before, despite they've gone to 2 Super Bowls since 2003. And last I looked, that's more than Dallas has been 2 since 2003. So they've had good runs. I mean, 2015, where Cam Newton was the MVP, they were 15-1 in the regular season. Amazing run. But they haven't put back-to-back winning seasons together. But they also had never had 7 straight losing seasons before now, and that's been really tough on the fan base. There have been a lot of games this year where it's looked like the visiting team was the home team. I know the Chiefs came here recently. It looked like it was about 65, 70 or more % of all Chiefs fans. There have been other games like that. So that's been a different thing. But otherwise, Tepper did bring some good concerts to the stadium, so I'll give him credit for
that. David, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. You want to take a shot at a final score in this game?
Oh, wow. I'm 30-14-ish. I think the Panthers will move the ball a little bit, but I just can't imagine them able to stop that run game. Saquon Barkley's playing so well, and this run defense, unless they just load up to stop the run, and then what are they going to do? They're going to see, Brown and Jaylen Hurts and those guys going to probably have their way. So it's going to be a double-edged sword on that one. Just based on what the Panthers done against the run, I think this one shouldn't be close. But again, I didn't think the Chiefs game would be close, and look what happened.
David Newton covering the Panthers for ESPN. Thanks, Dave, for coming on. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you up the road.
Thanks, guys.
That's David Newton playing Augusta. I thought as a bigwig, now we find out it was the media lottery, which they do every year. And
still great.
It is. He won. It's tough to win the media lottery to play. Yeah, your numbers got to come up.
Yeah, Augusta probably the toughest place to get on, right? Is there a tougher course to get on than Augusta?
No, it's impossible to get on as a regular person.
Yeah. Look, we have Pine Valley around the corner. You've played Pine Valley.
I have, yes.
It's tough to get on, but not impossible. Augusta's impossible.
It is impossible. All right, 610-632-0975. Coming up, the news at noon. Some very interesting stories that Ray Dunn discovered. And we're back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Repping for the Panthers, I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by your local PJ Williams. Enjoy fall happy hours with friends with $3 domestic beers and $5 wings every day at 3 p.m. at PJ's. Everybody loves PJ's. The 10-2 Eagles are getting set for Sunday's matchup with an improved Panthers team after a 1-7 start to the season with 7 double-digit losses. The Panthers have played 4 consecutive games decided by 3 points or less. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni met with the media yesterday and talked about not looking past this Panthers team.
I think that would be malpractice by us as coaches and as players if we were up for some games and not up for some games. We know that this is a talented team that is continuing to play good football.
We just previewed the Panthers game with the ESPN Panthers reporter David Newton earlier, breaking down what's going to happen with the game. And if it goes the way Newton expects, we will be tuned out of that game pretty quickly. He's thinking a blowout on the Eagles side. Elsewhere in the NFL, big Thursday night game tonight. Packers, Lions in Detroit. Lions lost, but the Eagles in the driver's seat for the NFC's top seed if the Birds are able to win out. Elsewhere, 76ers lost 106-102 to the Magic last night. Lost them 2-game winning streak. They'll be back in action Friday night against the Magic. And the Flyers and Panthers play tonight at 7 o'clock right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update's also brought to you by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Veterans exposed to toxins while serving at home or abroad may be eligible for VA care and disability payments. Apply now at choose.va.gov. I'm Ray Dunn, the home of the 76ers and the Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Noon time, everybody. 12 o'clock hour brought to us by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months, a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at ServiceFirstHVAC.com. All right, it is noontime, which means it is time for the news at noon.
There's a whole lot going on in this world. It's time to catch up. Here's the news at noon. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
The news at noon is presented by one Ray Dunn, the Scarf Man, as we call him.
But specifically draping, not tied.
The draping Scarf Man.
Yeah, not
The
a tied
draping scarf that came with the jacket.
We'll get into that in a second. Bill's relentless.
His mic's off.
Ray just shakes his head. Ray just says,
I'm done with him. Your mic volume's down. I could do that too. I control that as well.
What the hell?
Anyways, we'll move on to the news at noon here. We'll start with Chris Carter. If you remember the criticism that Colt McCoy levied Jaylen Hurts way a couple weeks ago, saying he doesn't do anything special, might be the thing that holds them back, Chris Carter apparently did not appreciate that and decided that he was going to remind everyone of Colt McCoy, the quarterback, on Carter's podcast.
Hey, Colt, when you were in, you think the quarterback was dropping back 7 steps? You're 5'10"? Do you think they were doing that? Or you think they were doing something that you were more skilled to be able to do?
Get you moving around so you're 5'10", I can see over everybody and throw the football. Yeah, to your strengths.
Yeah.
That's what they're supposed to do.
Let me tell you what was special. When you tried to run that quarterback draw against Alabama in the national championship and they about broke your back.
That was awesome and special. It was special.
Yeah.
It was special. That was
Don't forget how hard this game was, Colt. I know you're probably new at this broadcasting thing, but if you're going to put it out there like that, man, you're going to get annihilated.
When did Colt McCoy criticize Jaylen Hurts?
Last week, he posted a video saying that they were holding him back. Does he have a podcast now too, Ray? Is that what it is?
He also now has a podcast.
Well, it's a good thing he has a podcast because didn't they zip him off the college football broadcasts? He was terrible. He was terrible as an analyst. I think they got him off. They pulled him. They yanked him.
Man, but Chris Carter's not holding back on him.
Wow, Chris has a lot of time on his hands to criticize people.
Hey, what's he doing these days?
Nothing.
Believe it or not, he's doing a podcast.
Oh, is he doing a podcast? All righty. Good for him. All right, next.
Yeah, that came from his podcast. Proof that just everyone has one at this point.
Podcast P. They don't have one like Podcast P, though.
No, certainly not.
Chris Carter and Podcast P had something in common. They both didn't play after their podcast. See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Thank you.
All right, let's move it on to the Vikings here. Aaron Jones has had some fumbling issues this year. He was asked how he might be trying to help those concerns. Here is what he is doing to try and continue to work at his ability to hold on to the football.
Hold my kids like a football. Football ain't that heavy, so I'm like, if I can hold them and not drop them, I should be good. So no, just really holding them both hands like this and getting some practice until my arms get tired.
Wait. You're going to hold your kid high and tight, squeeze while you're at it?
And then
what is that?
His wife around the house tries to go, fumble! Knock the baby out of his hand. He's like Darnell Jefferson falling asleep in class.
What's he doing? Trying to cut with the cradle in the kid? You cut around the hallway? Come on.
I feel like that probably came to him in the moment. He thought it would sound good.
It didn't. It
didn't sound like something that's going to help him.
It's no good, Aaron.
I didn't even get to pose the question. Do you think that's going to help him?
Hold the kid high and tight. What's next?
All right, last one here. And I pulled something yesterday. Burrow talking about the Batmobile and how he's a liar. This Hard Knocks in season with the entire AFC North is producing some pretty good, at least viral clips. Because yesterday we got a viral clip of the Browns offensive line coach, Roy Istvan, who's actually the former assistant for the Eagles, was here under Doug Peterson and under Sirianni. He was fired up for them leading into this week's game against the Broncos. This is the impassioned speech from inside of that meeting room.
Everybody wants to sack the quarterback. That's what the defense wants to do. We're going to take pride in protecting the quarterback. No one with the Chief. Nobody. Now, Chief, this is how you can help us. Get through your reads and get the ball out, right? You do a really good job with that. It's impressive. Set the protections the right way. When you go to flipper it, be on your okay? Whatever you say, we're going to do, I promise you. Okay? And you guys back this up. You fight your asses off. You fight your asses off. We're not going to Denver to go skiing. We're going to win the game on Monday Night Football in front of the world. We're on Thursday Night Football last week. We balled out. We're going to Monday Night Football this week to ball the out. Okay? We are pros. This is what we do. This is our choice. This is our life. This is every minute of our day. Right now, lock it in. Go to Denver. Pitch fit. Pitch a fit. Okay? 99's in the air. Him up.
First of all, I love it. Second of all, they call Bo Nix Chief?
No.
What?
Jameis Winston was the Chief.
Jameis Winston.
Yes.
This is the Browns. I'm sorry. So he's Chief?
And I saw that clip.
Why is that? Because he was a Florida State guy?
I don't know, but the way Winston looks at him when he says, "And Chief, you could help us," and Winston gives him that look with the eyes. Like, I got you.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question: what is the over/under number on F-bombs uttered by offensive line coaches throughout the NFL during the course of a season? Because they're the guys mostly that do that.
A lot of F-bombs. Ray, that was a good job by you bleeping all that out if you did.
That was. That took a lot of production time from Ray.
So much focus from me to go in there. Yeah, there's that.
He was very focused. In fact, a little later in the show, we're going to focus on Ray again with the production element when we go into the Jaylen Hurts interview.
See, but I loved that speech. Mm-hmm. But don't you think that's better suited for in the locker room right before the game? Like, that speech was given on like a Tuesday.
We're not going to Denver to go skiing. He sounded like Joe Swanson from Family Guy when he said that.
But everybody's ready to run through a wall, and then it's like, okay, you got 2 more sleeps. We got to get on a plane. Like, that type of fired up speech, I think, should happen pregame.
Yeah.
Not a few days early.
Kind of wasted it. I would think that the players would think they were going skiing, though. You know, like they could mix in a little skiing trip as they got up there. In any event,
Michael Irvin used to go skiing, but
the offensive look at you. The offensive line did allow 3 sacks, and Chief, that must be his nickname, Chief. He was a Florida State Seminole, right?
Let me get to the bottom of this.
2 pick sixes for Chief. By the way, it's a double DB or not. So let's do one. We're gonna do a DB or not at 12:30, but let's do a precursor DB. There. Thank you. Are you a DB if you call someone chief or boss?
Does it have to be limited to them? Because, yes, I think saying what's up, chief, or what's up, boss. But I sometimes have a problem of saying what's up, brother.
Brother's fine.
Or I'll say my brother. Like that's. But does that make me a DB?
No, because I use brother too. I think that's fine. Like if you hold a door for a guy, right? You're walking into a bank or something, and you hold the guy or a Wawa, and the guy goes, "Thanks, chief." Is that DB? When you use chief or boss, not bro.
Yeah, I think
chief or boss.
Yes, I think chief is a DB. I think boss is a bigger DB. Like, thanks, boss.
Yeah. Right. I get a lot of Twitter feedback. Yo, boss. You know, it's like, come on, man. You don't know me like that.
Now, I think it's a bigger DB if it was a female that held the door, and it's like, thanks, hon. You know, thanks, sweetheart.
I kind of like the hon.
What about sweetheart?
The hon doesn't bother me. Sweetheart doesn't bother me either if it's coming from a lady. But when somebody calls me boss, it's a rankle.
I used to work at a diner, and there was this old guy that used to come in all the time, and he would always give me the change to give to the waitress, and it'd be like $1.50. Go, give this to that little chickadee over there. Give that little chickadee. It was like $1.45. Thanks, man. I'll make sure she gets it.
The chickadee. So insensitive they were back in the day.
Chickadee.
Mike Missanelli Show, 610-632-0975. Back after this.
Tyrone.
football game on Sunday. That shouldn't be much of a challenge. So we're looking ahead, basically, in this particular show. We're looking ahead to the prospect of the Eagles perhaps getting the number 1 seed. And thereby, it is very important that the Green Bay Packers beat the Detroit Lions tonight, because if the Packers beat the Lions tonight, there is a 50% chance that the Eagles could get the number 1 seed and hence get the bye, but also host an NFC title game here at Chili Lincoln Financial Field. But if the Lions win tonight, there is only a 12% chance of the Eagles getting that number 1 seed, which means they would have to go to Detroit and try to beat the Lions in the NFC title game if that's the way it plays out. Bill, you dug into many more numbers than that.
Yeah, I don't think this is the standard home versus away type of matchup in the NFC Championship game where it's, it doesn't matter. You could win on the road, because this Detroit Lions team is so much better indoors than they are outside. And I know it's a small sample size. They've only played 2 games all season outdoors, but in those 2 games, they averaged 22 points a game. In their 10 games indoors, they've averaged 34 points per game. So this is less about, because I've had fans checking in saying, they can win on the road. They've proven it. They won in Baltimore. They won in Cincinnati. But it's different. You can either have chilly, cold Philadelphia weather with that Lions offense, or have to go inside Ford Field. And, the noise will be a factor, but more importantly, it's that the conditions will be perfect for the way the Detroit Lions want to play. I think this Eagles team is built for the cold weather. Maybe remember when they finally got over the hump after 4 straight NFC Championship games against the Falcons? Remember how cold it was that day? Lincoln Financial Field. Mm-hmm. Brian Dawkins with the hit on Algie Crumpler. Mike Vick was on the Falcons. They wanted no parts of that game.
Now, I can go way back further than that to the Dick Vermeil era, where on a blustery cold day, the Eagles beat the Cowboys because of that weather. Yeah, got to the Super Bowl.
And I already know people out there are saying, but what about 2002 when Tampa came to the Vet? They had never won in cold weather before, and they beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, there's always going to be the outlier.
But I don't know if the game – what was the temperature in that? Was it bitter cold that day? Or was it mildly cold? I don't remember the exact temperature, but there was a temperature that Tampa Bay couldn't play under, and they would lose.
Yeah, I don't remember. And I was actually in – you're right. I think it was 65 degrees.
It was that day? No, it couldn't have been. It couldn't have been that hot.
Hold on, that's what I just saw.
I'm thinking in 42.
Early 2000s, they were 0-17 when the temperature at kickoff was below 40 degrees.
Yeah, below 40 degrees.
Oh, and it was below 40, not 65.
Yeah, it was. Was it below 4? For some reason, I remember 42, but it might have been below 40.
See, it's saying here, Sunday, January 16th, 2022. Game weather, cloudy, 65.
We're going back to 2000.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong date. Yeah. I took 20.
2002.
Yeah, 2002.
Yes. It was around the 40-degree mark, I think, or maybe I'm misremembering because I was in a suite watching the game.
I was up at Gettysburg.
Well, no, it's funny because I was working at the time with Anthony Gargano. And we had airplane tickets in our pocket for Monday morning for San Diego.
Oh, boy. All right, I got the weather.
All right, what was it?
It was 26 degrees, wind chill of 16. So it was cold.
It was really cold. Okay. So we were going to broadcast the whole week in San Diego.
On Radio Row?
We were supposed to leave Monday morning.
Yeah, that was a disappointment.
And they lost.
See, the worst part for us,
shockingly,
the worst part for me that game, we had our end of the season college football banquet right in the middle of the game. So there were a lot of Eagles fans on the team. The coach agreed he'd bring a television in. So that actually made it worse because 75% of the team were Giants fans and other cities. They were loving our misery when when Rondé Barber took the ball the other way. But look, that's the outlier. You look at the numbers of this Lions offense. you much rather have them here. The chances of you winning the game in Philly have to be higher than if you had to go to Ford Field indoors against that Lions offense.
All right, let's get to the text board. We have a lot of text on the inside-outside thing, the number 1 seed. Ray, what do we have?
All right. Someone wants me to tell Billy the inside-outside thing is skewed because the Lions have only played 2 games outside the Cardinals and the Packers.
Yes, I know they've only played 2 games outside, and you could look at it that way and say it's skewed because they've only played 2. Or you could look at it and say, wow, they've played 10 games indoors and are still averaging 34 points a game. So the numbers work both ways. Yes, it's only been 2 games, but you're talking 12-point difference. And in the 10 games indoors, they're averaging 34.
All right, let's look at that, though, because, I don't think it's much that big of a home field advantage to play on turf for the Lions. The Eagles have a good running attack. Turf makes a running back faster. So, you think Saquon Barkley would have a hard time running?
Less concerned about the Eagles' offense, more concerned about the Eagles' defense.
Why?
Because the Lions,
defense, you're faster on defense also.
Because the Lions are so good indoors offensively. That offense is so good.
But so would the Eagles be. Why wouldn't the Eagles be good indoors? A good team would be good indoors or outdoors, don't you think?
It wouldn't be impossible to go to Ford Field and win. I'm just saying the chances are better.
Why do you think it's that major an advantage for one team over the other? Because they played there? If the Eagles are a good team, why would they not be a good team on turf?
They would be a good team. That's why I said they could still win. I just think it's a lot more likely that the Eagles go to the Super Bowl if the Lions have to come here than if the Eagles had to go there. And I think the odds would reflect it.
The passing attack indoors would be to the Lions' advantage more than the Eagles because that's what they do.
Yes, and they are.
But they have Jahmyr Gibbs also. So
they have Gibbs. They got Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporte. I mean, they got a lot of weapons too.
They do.
But them having to come here, especially Jared Goff, forcing Goff to come here in a cold Philadelphia day in January. I like the Eagles' chances of shutting down that offense a lot more than indoors at Ford Field.
Let's get the text on the number 1 seed here, Ray.
Yeah, someone just wanted to point out, have the Eagles even ever made a Super Bowl when not the top seed in the conference?
They were the top seed in 2022. They were the top seed in 2017. They were the top seed in 2004. They were the top seed in 1980? I don't know. What were they in 1980?
They were favored to win that game.
They were the 2. Atlanta was the one that year, and Dallas knocked them off.
Atlanta was one? Oh, my God.
But I guess to that texter's point, the Eagles have never won an NFC championship game that wasn't in Philadelphia. Because they lost in L.A. or in St. Louis.
Listen, I think if you're a good team and your numbers are really good, now their passing numbers aren't good, that would be an edge to Detroit. But their defense, I can't see that they would take a step backwards just because they're playing in Ford Field. All right, let's take a break. 610-632-0975. DB or not on the other side. And I'm thinking that most people would not think this is a DB. So I'm giving – normally people say to me, well, you only bring that up because you think it's a DB. No. This is fair game. And this plugs right into the heart of a Philadelphian, this topic that we're going to talk about. It's the Mike Missanelli Show. We're back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Rapping for the Panthers, I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Wawa Holiday Gift Cards. Wawa gift cards are the perfect last-minute gifts for everyone on your list, and they're available in festive holiday designs too. Everybody loves a Wawa gift card. The 10-2 Eagles getting set for Sunday's matchup with an improved Panthers team after a 1-7 start to the season with 7 double-digit losses. The Panthers have played 4 consecutive games decided by 3 points or less. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni met with the media yesterday and talked about not looking past this Panthers team.
I think that would be malpractice by us as coaches and as players if we were up for some games and not up for some games. We know that this is a talented team that is continuing to play good football.
We previewed the Panthers game with ESPN Panthers reporter David Newton earlier. You'll be able to catch that one more time on our website, 975thefanatic.com. Elsewhere in the NFL, there's a big Thursday night game between the Packers and Lions in Detroit tonight. Lions loss could put the Eagles in the driver's seat for the AFC's top seed if they were to win out. Elsewhere, the 76ers lost 106 102 to the Magic last night. The loss snapped a 2-game winning streak, first of its kind this season for the 76ers. The Sixers back in action on Friday night against the Magic, and the Flyers and Panthers play tonight at 7 o'clock. You can hear the game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. This update's also brought to you by the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety. Did you know that driving under the influence of marijuana is illegal? Drive high, get a DUI. A message from the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety. I'm Ray Dunn on the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The gang's all here. and it's Thursday. Now, we don't do this every Thursday. We only do it when a circumstance presents itself. And it's a cute little segment that we do.
Yeah, very cute.
It's called DB or Not. Now, I had a friend who was befuddled by the DB or Not. He goes, "What is DB?"
Yeah, I've gotten the same text
So
from people.
it's better off if you don't know. But if you know,
listen to the lyrics. Major bag alert.
All right. And this is like some odd circumstances. Like I gave you a simple one earlier in this hour. If somebody calls your boss, is that DB or not? And we agreed, I think, that it is. So
My wife checked in on that one, too.
Oh, she did?
She did.
What did she say?
She said that boss in chief, definite DB, but that the worst would be calling a woman hun or sweetheart.
Well, I'm if a woman calls you hun or sweetheart,
yeah,
that's different.
But calling a woman,
oh yeah, you can't do that. That's an old Italian guy with a cigar.
Yeah, like come here, sweetheart. Yeah, no, inappropriate.
All right, so let's move on with the DB or not. There's a guy named Joey Umana, and he's a Rocky fan, even though he's a Long Island guy.
But he's an Italian.
Yes, he's an Italian. And he was so enamored with the Rocky story. He saw it when he was 14. He's now 62. He has seen every Rocky movie at least 100 times. That's 500 viewings.
No, there's more than 5.
Wow, that's right.
You got Rocky Balboa.
That's right.
If you include Creed 1, 2, and 3.
Close to 1,000. So he was so inspired by the Rocky story that he dedicated a room in his home as the Rocky room.
But I don't need to hear anymore. DB.
No, hold it. Not only that, but he built intricate replicas of the sights from the Rocky movies, building miniatures with tiny bricks, creating a veritable shrine to the Rocky theme, including Mixed Gym, the Philadelphia Museum of Art.
I'm going to go out on a limb.
He found tiny clay bricks on the internet, and he wound up gluing 5,000 of them one at a time with a tweezer.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb. This guy's single.
So he's got a tiny boxing ring, mini workout equipment, posters, a living Rocky Balboa, Mixed Gym. It is the Rocky Room.
Wait, where are you getting this information?
This is a story in the Philadelphia Inquirer. And he even, get this, he even made fake meat with a side of beef that Rocky used to spar with, which he fashioned from a dog bone. No, he is not single. He is married.
And she's also obsessed with Rocky.
And he was encouraged by his wife, who he calls, she's my Adrian. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm looking at this article now.
Okay, so he says, and this is what a lot of people say when it comes to Rocky. This is my story. I love that story. I love that he was the underdog. He didn't care if he won the fight. He just wanted to go the distance, and that's what I've been doing my whole life. So I ask you, Ray and Bill, and the audience, DB or not?
All right, I was going total DB here, and now I'm reading the article, and I'm starting to feel bad. Because it said he found Rocky during a traumatic upbringing.
Oh, we all found Rocky during a traumatic upbringing, for crying out loud.
I know, but now I'm feeling bad because the message here is kind of like you're the underdog. I mean, this is a lot. I mean, coming from a kid who grew up, I'm a South Philadelphia Italian. My dad loved Rocky. I grew up watching it. This is a little over the top. Just a little over the top. Not to be confused with the over-the-top Stallone movie where he wins the arm wrestling competition.
What was that movie?
Over the Top. It was called.
It's called Over the Top.
You don't remember that?
That's right.
And he would work out in his truck with the arm.
Yeah.
Ray, what do you think?
Posters, autographs, signed boxing gloves, and get this. Once he showed up at a bleary-eyed early hour outside a hotel where the man himself was staying, Sylvester Stallone, in hopes of getting a photo taken together.
Did he get the photo?
Indeed, the gods of fandom smiled.
Ray, you make the vote on this. I read the article. I feel too bad now.
I would say no.
I didn't read the article. I'm not going DB on this one.
No DB.
A little bit of a nerd. A little bit.
Oh, how about the fact he's from Long Island?
I like people want to celebrate things that are
no Philly connection.
I'm all right. If you want to celebrate something that we all dear to our, I'm cool with that.
You are clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm fine with it. A little bit of a nerd, though. A little bit.
How about Megan the Meat?
Again, if we were going nerd or not, I mean, I think this is very nerdy obsession.
The worst part of that, in the article, it's quoted with an exclamation point. I even made the meat, Umana said.
Yes, he made the meat, and he is planning. Rocky Fest. Is Rocky Fest here? Going on right now? Is there a Rocky Fest?
He's listening right now.
Who is Joey? Is Joey listening?
Rocky Fest is this going on right now. How about that?
Yeah, Rocky Fest. He's there. Joey Mana must be in town.
He's listening right now.
He is already thinking about creating a model of the Italian Stallion's cabin in Russia from Rocky 4.
Oh, that would be good.
He's running out of space in his Rocky room.
Oh, that would be really good. There's no easy way out. There's no shortcut.
Ridiculous Rocky movie of all time, Rocky 4.
Dude.
The speech at the end, we should play the speech at the end.
He ended the Cold War, for God's sakes. My God.
Oh, stop it. Stop
I will say, though, I think I told you this before. The way I drive here, I cut down Benjamin Franklin Parkway. I go past the art museum every day. The line of people still lined up to take their picture with the Rocky statue blows my mind.
All right, listen, Rocky 4 was ridiculous. Rocky 5 was a joke. Rocky 3 was probably the best.
With Clubber Lang?
Yeah.
You're not so bad. That's how I compared this Eagles team to
Miss Balboa, come over here, I'll show you a real man.
Rockies is a great franchise, but I'm not making the meat in my house.
No meat? All right. Let me move on to violations here. It's funny because people go, what am I going to talk about here with the Eagles? So they're going to bounce Carolina. You know, we're talking about the number 1 seed. There's a lack of good Eagle substance right now, and nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody's outraged like me, so I give up. I defer to the people, but the Sixers. You're not outraged? All right, knock yourself out. I'm frankly offended that my people are not as offended as I am, but that's all right.
Well, you're also failing to mention that you got a hot hockey team that we could talk about. Got a big game tonight. You taking the Flyers money line tonight?
No. No, I don't trust them. I got to get a level of trust before I take anything.
All right, so what's the violation?
Let's get back to the violation.
What's the violation?
I want to know from the people what is the bigger violation. Now, Bray, last year, or was it 2 years ago, Bill and I just started to get to know each other doing a post-game show. The Eagles. So, during the show, we're watching the game together. You get a little chit-chat during commercials or whatever, and he says to me, you wrote a book? I go, yeah, I wrote a book. It's called Perfect Season on Penn State's last national championship, and I wrote it because I thought it would have a long shelf life that they would never win another national championship.
And so far, you've been right.
He goes, that's cool. He goes, do you have a copy? I go, yeah, I'll give you a copy.
Actually, I didn't even ask for a copy. It was very generous.
Oh, I brought it the next.
You just surprised me with it the following week.
Yeah. So he goes, oh yeah, I'll read. Good, thank you. I'll read it. And so we find out today that Bill has not read it.
So you gave it to me, which was very generous.
That's a violation.
And then I drove home and I walked in the house and I said, you believe this? I got to read this frickin' book now? I'm only kidding. I didn't do that. I did read some of it, Mike. I'm not necessarily a big book reader. So I did read some of it, but I'm going to agree with you. Major violation on my part.
This to me is a reflection of what I've been talking about for a really long time, which is Penn State hatred.
You had me. Now you're losing.
No.
This has nothing to do with Penn State.
Bill has shown a penchant for Penn State hate. And the reason is because he played at a smaller school that was in the big shadow of Penn State's hold over the middle of
We weren't even big enough to be in the shadow, man.
But you, every now and then, you leak out a little Penn State hatred, like everybody who works in this place. There's not one Penn State devotee in this place. Most Temple, which hate Penn State because of jealousy, and then there's Rutgers, which is too small. And so, like, I get it. But I believe that Bill had no interest in reading about Penn State's amazing national championship when they beat Jerome Brown and Vinny Testaverde and Michael Irvin in one of the biggest upsets in college football history. You guys know because it's Penn State. And to me, I'm asking whether that's a violation.
I was upset because I Googled for the Cliff Notes version, and it doesn't exist.
See, now you're really starting to irritate me. Now, what's the bigger violation? Is it that, or is it? Bill has been chirping about this, Ray, so I have to bring it up. I'm sorry. Is it buying a coat that comes with a free scarf? No, that comes with a scarf attached to it. What is the
You don't have the coat with you right now, do you?
I do not. No, I didn't wear it.
What is the bigger violation? Is it Ray buying a coat with an attached scarf? Or Bill not...
The scarf is not attached.
I'm not reading my Penn State book.
The scarf comes off.
Well, the scarf came with the jacket, and it was probably attached in the store.
When I received the coat, it had the scarf with it.
Yeah, and then you just pull...
Gift, so I don't know if it necessarily...
No, I've seen these on sale.
Now, Bill is saying that you don't buy any coat that comes with a scarf, that you pick out your own scarf eventually to match it with the coat, not the one they choose for you. So I don't think it's a violation, Ray, frankly. Bill does, though.
No, I would say between the two things, the bigger violation would be me not finishing Mike's book.
Finishing?
I will
you
admit.
haven't even read a page of it.
No, I did. I started it.
Well, how many pages?
I don't know.
10?
I'm taking
5?
the under.
I started it. I read the forward.
It's a 250-page book.
Look,
what percentage have you read? Less than 1%?
In my defense.
For sure.
You gave it to me during football season.
2 years ago.
1 year ago. Merry Christmas, Ray. I'm wrapping that book for you.
Oh, now you're going to re-gift? It's a violation on top of a violation.
I'm getting killed. I got no argument
I was
here.
thinking of giving Ray a copy of the book signed, too, but now he wouldn't read it either.
See, now you're losing me on this, the whole Penn State hate thing. We could be...
Would you read a book on Penn State's last national
championship? If you
championship?
gave me the book
you would
that
read
you
it.
wrote, I would read the book.
I don't think you would.
I would.
I think you would have a sour lemon face.
No, I'd be interested in a time where
Penn
they competed
State.
for national championships. That would be something I would be interested in. I would read it.
I mean, there's so many great little stories in this book. So many, like, it was good versus evil. It was written like that with that kind of a subplot.
Yeah, and you started back in '85 when they lost the Orange Bowl.
Exactly.
Right? You see?
And, man, listen, that summary online that you just pulled up, not going to save you. That's not going to save you. I can see where your eyes are right now. You've been typing away while we've been talking over here.
I'm reading the YouTube chat, and I am getting smoked in the chat right now.
I mean, I got inside stuff in that where I revealed that Vinny Testaverde, when Miami was at the 5-yard line, shooed Jimmy Johnson, who wanted to run the football, and said, no, I'm not doing it. I got inside story from inside the huddle in this book that Testaverde refused to run the ball because he wanted to win the game with a touchdown pass. That's the kind of flavor I've got in this book.
And it's available on Amazon for anyone looking for a last-minute Christmas gift.
I've got Michael Irvin saying that Miami players were out in the wee hours of the morning that closed every nightclub in Phoenix.
All right, I just pulled it up.
But,
no joke. It's got incredible reviews on Amazon. 4.8.
Just not from inside that studio, apparently.
Yeah, 4.8 out of 5 stars. People are saying it's incredible. Well written, interesting, perfect.
Yeah, you think this is a Penn State puff piece. It's not. It's the inside story, that whole phenomenon where they paired the two independent teams to play in a national championship.
When people stop being polite and start being real. Get that reference, Ray?
I got Jerome Brown collecting every chain that any Miami player went, and if somebody didn't have a chain, he gave them one to put on for the team pictures while Penn State was wearing blue blazers. I got detail in this thing.
Wait, this wasn't. Was this the when
Miami
Jerome,
came off the airplane wearing fatigues?
Yes, yeah, I remember that.
They walked out of a barbecue.
That's right. Was that the same year that there was the Catholics versus Convicts?
No, I don't
season
think so.
For them.
I don't think so.
What was that?
I don't know. What do I care about that? That's not my purview. What do I care about the Catholics versus the Convicts? That's Notre Dame.
So he doesn't care because he's not a Notre Dame or Miami grad, but Ray and I are supposed to care about Penn State?
No, you're supposed to care about me.
It's about me. Oh, man, now I feel bad. Come here, Mike. Give me a hug.
You're supposed to care about me. I gave you a book out of the goodness of my heart. You put it on a shelf.
I hope it's on the shelf.
I do have it. I have it.
I want you to produce it.
He probably tainted it and read the 10 pages of it while he was on the toilet.
Bring it in tomorrow.
Let's get it done.
Along with your acceptance letter to Penn State.
I
we'll
have
do both.
it right here.
Let's go to Doug at San
I do
Francisco.
still have it.
Doug, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. Doug.
What's going on, Mike?
What's up,
Bill,
Doug? How you
Vinny
doing?
Missanelli.
How are you?
Ray's going to become you at some point, Mike. So it's exciting to watch this early development.
From my coaching tree? My coaching tree is vast.
100%. Hey, so I was in Philly for Thanksgiving. It was awesome to be home, and I took my kids to the Sixers game last week against the Rockets.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think I might have been the most depressed in that arena because when Tyrese Maxey tied it, you and I had a conversation a couple of years ago where you were like, you can't indoctrinate your kids. You live in San Francisco. I said, absolutely not, Mike. I'm going to make my kids Philly all the way, right?
Yeah.
So I was hoping that they'd win in overtime. They'd get to hear the song. Everyone would go crazy. And I was just sitting there after that loss, so heartbroken. So I'm like, all right, we get a couple of wins in a row. I'm watching the game last night, and I'm just like, dude, they're really going to pull this out. I mean, Jared McCain's playing out of his mind these days. And then they just kind of fall short, and just not in a really smart way. It just looked like bad basketball. And I don't understand Nick Nurse's defensive scheme where he leaves guys wide open in order to I just don't understand. I was watching the whole game when I was at the game too. And I don't know, I'm starting to lose hope. I understand your point now about why didn't Paul George play last night? It's all these things are adding up, and it's starting to make me think why am I investing so much time in this team at this point? It's like, Joe, what's Joe going to do?
They think this is really interesting, Doug, because they think you're still going to hang in there. They seem oblivious to the fact that they're losing the people because they think, oh, well, everybody's on board with the load management and we're going to be hell in the playoffs. That's what the organization is thinking.
Yeah, and your point is being made. It's I'm literally barely hanging on at this point, and I'm trying to be positive about it, but it's you're not really giving me much. Hey, before I leave, Mike.
Yeah. First of all, I want to ask you a question since you went to that Rockets game.
Yeah.
Because I put this question out on Twitter. You saw the Rockets. You saw the Sixers. Would you trade the Sixers right now, for that Rockets team?
I don't know, and the reason why I say I don't know is because Jaylen Green lived up to what I thought he would be, and I don't know if I would trade a Tyrese Maxey for that guy.
They're young and they're dangerous. I'm telling you that. The team is going to be.
They're good. They're good. Hey, before I leave, real quick, Mike.
Yes.
You should know, my daughter. She bought a little cheesesteak doll. It's a doll with a cheesesteak while we were in Philly. Oh. And I was like, all right, cool. She said, I was like, what's his name? She says, I'm naming it Mike Missanelli.
Oh
my God!
I'm named after a cheesesteak doll. I like it.
Wait a second.
Thanks, bro.
I always have you guys on in the car, whether it's live or whether it's on podcast. So all she hears is Mike Missanelli. So she thought it was appropriate.
Oh, that is so cute, Doug. Thanks for checking in from San Fran. Doug's a good guy.
I don't know, man. I got to question Doug's parenting. He takes his kids to a Sixers game and then has them name a doll after Mike Missanelli. What's going on, Ray?
That's pure Philly right there. Pure Philly. So I posed that question. I never posed it to you or Ray. I was watching the Rockets. They got young player after young player, young energy after young energy. And I'm going, if you had the chance to trade what the Sixers are now, and this is still with Embiid coming back, Maxey, Paul George, would you make that trade straight up? Trade the Rockets for your squad. Think about it. We got a break. 610-632-0975. Back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Wrapping for the Panthers, I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Ace Hardware Home Services. Got a leaky pipe, having issues with your heat at Ace Hardware Home Services. They're around the block with everything you need to fix it. They've got the pros to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services. The 10-2 Eagles getting set for Sunday's matchup with an improved Panthers team after a 1-7 start to the season with 7 double-digit losses. Panthers have played 4 consecutive games decided by 3 points or less. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni met with the media yesterday and talked about not looking past this Panthers team.
I think that would be malpractice by us as coaches and as players if we were up for some games and not up for some games. We know that this is a talented team that is continuing to play good football.
We previewed the Panthers game with ESPN Panthers reporter David Newton earlier on in the show. You catch that conversation on our website one more time at 975thefanatic.com. Elsewhere in the NFL, there's a big Thursday night football game between the Packers and the Lions in Detroit tonight. The Lions loss could put the Eagles in the driver's seat for the NFC's top seed if Birds are able to win out. Elsewhere, 76ers lost 106-102 to the Magic last night. Lost snapped their 2-game winning streak, the first of its kind this season. They'll be back in action Friday night against the Magic. Flyers and Panthers tonight at 7 o'clock. You catch the game live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm Ray Dunn, the home of the 76ers and the Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Missanelli Show has been holding court.
You'll have to explain this to me. Why am I the only one that seems to be outraged by the fact Paul George couldn't play last night? I can't believe it. Now, there are two theories here. Either this Sixer fan base has become so beaten down that they don't care anymore, or they become permissive. It's a home game against a team that is also coming off a back-to-back that you can win if Paul George plays last night. And it wasn't important enough for them to play. Like, it was more important to the Sixers, struggling the way they are now, with the record of dreck that they have right now, to sit him out on load management because he played 37 minutes the day before against a terrible team that he has to sit out, and we just accept it?
Mike and Bill have been pleading their cases.
I'm not so sure people are accepting it anymore, though.
There was no feedback. I was outraged that Paul George didn't play last night. I was outraged by that. Nobody else seemed to be outraged.
Here's the problem, and this is where the Sixers have gone down a dangerous path. The reason people aren't outraged isn't because they're accepting of what's going on. It's because they've checked out of what's going on.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's worse.
Either they're beaten down or they're permissive. Look at the team they tried to win with last night.
And they almost pulled it out. So you're right. If Paul George plays, they
20
win.
minutes. If he plays, they win.
The Mike Missanelli Show Holding Court is brought to you by Grunko Law, your law firm when you need help because of an injury. We treat every case like it's Dallas Week. Pray for peace, prepare for trial. Now back to Mike Missanelli on 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Yes, it is the 1 o'clock hour of the Mike Missanelli Show. It's brought to you by Ferguson HVAC. Lion Conklin, attention HVAC contractors for equipment, parts, and supplies. For every heating and cooling job, just visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Ben Salem, King of Prussia, Saucon, or Westchester. Yes. All right. So the Sixers, the hot topic has been coming to the 1 o'clock hour based on our holding court situation there. Let me just give you an example of why it bugged me. Now, I look at the box score from last night, and I look at Orlando off the bench. Jonathan Isaac had 14. Mo Wagner had 10. Anthony Black had 10. And the rookie Tristan Da Silva came off the bench and gave him 16 minutes. Had 5. The Sixers off the bench last night had Caleb Martin give him 9. Bona didn't score. Reggie Jackson made a three-pointer. And Ricky Council had 9, but was a minus 14. Now, you telling me that if Paul George plays in that game, they don't win that game?
Nah, they win the game. They win the game. But
and nobody cares. Nobody cares. And I'm dying. It's killer. I see Paul George. He stands up and he's like, cheerleader. I'm going, cheerleader? What the hell?
I keep asking this question, Mike. Why would the Sixers be doing this, though? Like, I understood the mentality of load management when you thought you were going to be winning a lot of games and being a top 6 seed. But when you're 5-14, why are they continuing down this path that Joel doesn't play, Paul George doesn't play? Like, what is the plan now? Doesn't things have to change a little bit now that you've started the season as badly as you have?
Listen, I don't know. I give up. Nobody wants to talk about it. I hear you. So let's move on to the big circumstance of tonight, which is the Detroit Lions. And everybody will be tuned in to listen to Al Michaels, our good pal, tonight on Amazon Prime, as the Lions host the Green Bay Packers.
Go Pack, go!
In a game where if the Packers beat the Lions, the Eagles zoom up to a 50% chance to get the number 1 seed and host the NFC title game in cozy Lincoln Financial Field. And if they lose, 12% chance.
Yeah, it becomes tough.
It's almost a foregone conclusion then that they'll have to actually play a first-round game.
Yeah, because if they win the night, if the Lions win the night, I think you have to see them lose twice down the stretch for you to even have a chance of it. But the crazy thing is, a reminder to people, because it's only been a few years now, we're not only talking about home field advantage in the NFC Championship game. The NFL changed the rule where only the top seed gets the bye. So how important is that bye? Look, we haven't talked a lot about Jalen Carter today. Jalen Carter's been a beast for this defense. He's playing close to 100% of the snaps. We've had the question about the rookie wall with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. How nice would it be to get that bye week, especially when the last bye week the Eagles had was week 5? So that's another factor why it's so important to be the 1 seed. I really, truly believe if the Eagles are going to get back to the Super Bowl this season, they got to be the 1 seed.
As De Niro said to Pacino in Heat, there's another side to that coin. And the other side of the coin is, Bill, you have this fear that these consecutive wins aren't good. That the Eagles would then, to win a Super Bowl, have to win 17 straight games. So you actually want to see a loss somewhere along the line to kind of defeat that whole jinx.
Yeah, so if they are the 2 seed and they win out the rest of this season but don't catch the Lions, they'd have to win 17 straight. If they win out the rest of the season but are the 1 seed, they get a bye and they'd only have to win 16 straight, which maybe is a little bit easier when you throw that bye week in. But yeah, I have my concerns where sometimes, I know this sounds crazy, but for people who've played sports, sometimes a loss helps you refocus. Sometimes a loss lets you take a step back, look internally about maybe where some of the weaknesses are, and you get refocused. So I don't want to see the Eagles lose necessarily, but I'm not going to be angry if they do, as long as it's not this week. You don't want to see them lose to Carolina. But next week could be a loss. Going to Washington could potentially be a loss. Those are probably the 2 chances of it. But what do you think, Mike? Is it possible that they could go 17-0? Or 17 straight, I should say. Not 17-0, but 17 straight?
It is possible. I'm a little leery of that whole thing, too. But are they good enough? I think they are. In comparison to the teams that we're talking about here, if you, well, like, who would you face in the Super Bowl? If you get through this whole thing, you would probably go into the Super Bowl as the favorite, right?
Well, you would play either the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs.
All right, maybe you don't. If you play the Bills, would the Eagles be the favorite? If they sweep here and they beat the Lions in Detroit in the NFC title game, would they be the favorite in the Super Bowl? Now, right now, the Lions are I got the power rankings right here. Lions, Eagles, Bills. So if you take care of business and you beat the Lions, like how would you not be the favorite in the Super Bowl against the Bills?
Yeah, you probably would be. You probably would be. And I'm getting killed in the YouTube chat for saying that I don't think they could win 17 games in a row.
Listen, it's possible to win 17 games in a row. You're wary of it because it doesn't happen that often. Right?
No, it doesn't.
Where you go on that kind of a roll.
And the Lions have a similar situation. They've already won 10 in a row, so they're going to have to lose down the stretch here. But, yeah, I guess you're right. They would probably be favored in the Super Bowl. They're definitely not favored if they have to go to Detroit for the NFC Championship. They're going to be an underdog in that situation.
All right, on the other side, we're going to go through an interview, a one-on-one interview that GQ Sports conducted with Jaylen Hurts.
Riveting.
It is absolutely riveting. You don't want to miss it. 610-632-0975 is how you get in. The Mike Missanelli Show continues.
ESPN.
Mike Missanelli Show. Listen, we're not making fun of Jaylen Hurts. We are just reinforcing that Jaylen is a stoic as we go through this interview. It was a question and answer interview done by GQ Sports, a man named Matthew Roberson. And listen, Jaylen Hurts is a very intriguing person. So everybody's interested in trying to get some flavor from Jaylen Hurts. So we decided we would go over a bunch of these questions and inform the people. That we want to bring out the colorful side of Jaylen.
And
that's the funny thing that makes me chuckle.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the questions and answers, the major positive was he announced the Carry the Difference duffel bag that's going to raise money for local teachers in this GQ article. So that's nice. He is doing a great job with his Jaylen Hurts Foundation.
Yes.
But as far as entertaining us,
let's just see.
Keep the main thing the main thing.
Let's see. It keeps the main thing the main thing. Let's just see. All right, so Q. Which cities on the NFL schedule get you extra excited? Where are you most geeked up to play? Answer. It's always great to go to places where you win.
Boring.
Question 2. How does your preparation and game day routine change for a home game versus a road game? Answer. I try to keep it as consistent as possible, especially with my daily prayers and devotionals, my spiritual time, I guess you would call it. Maybe I'll listen to church or listen to some good music.
Boring.
Well, all right, so listen, daily prayers and fun and devotionals, a spiritual time. That's not boring, Maybe that's what he is. Like he gets extra strength from that. That's cool.
But maybe he has fun on the plane. Mike.
Well, here we go. Question 3 is, what's your move on the plane? Now, a lot of people like to play cards. A lot of people like to answer. What I like to do on the plane is take notes of whatever I've been doing all week. I like to saturate in my preparation for the week.
Boring.
All right. Question. I would love to experience the team flight after a big road win. Can you put into words what that vibe is like? Yeah. The plane environment is eclectic. Everyone is processing what happened in their own way, which makes it special. That's always fun.
Boring.
All right. Can't go on. All right. Question. Do you immediately pull up the film or do you let it breathe? Answer. No, I watch the film. Again, I think about the routine. There's always an eagerness to see what I could have done better.
Boring.
All right. Question. When you're packing for a road trip, what are the must-haves? Answer. I need the toiletry bag, my brush, and a wave cap. That's for home and away games. That's a Jaylen Hurts work-mandated thing. Oh, he's talking about another essential is my iPad. That's a Jaylen Hurts work-mandated thing. I can't go anywhere without it.
Boring.
Question. Do you like being in a hotel? Answer. Football is different from other sports because we don't travel as much. Well, that's true. But when we do, it's more people traveling. So it depends on the city. Sometimes you're staying in more rural areas, and sometimes you're staying in well-established downtown areas. I enjoy seeing what each hotel has to offer. One thing that is mandatory is having a microwave in my room. There's always an issue when I go to warm up my food.
Boring.
What? I'm sorry. Well, and then he goes on. We'll run into fans that are staying at the hotel, roaming around the hallways, going floor to floor. So when you're at the hotel, you just want to relax and get geared up for the next day. Sometimes that's challenging when you're moving around. When I get to do a new city, there are times when I go out to eat, but that's rare. I like being able to chill, soak in the time, and reset for what's to come. Sunday, fun day.
Boring.
All right, have we done enough?
Just want to get to his favorite city.
All right, let's go. Let's go to the favorite city. Where are some of the places where you have to stay in a rural area? Answer: we played in Cincinnati this year. It's a great place. It kind of reminds me of Oklahoma or parts of Texas. But I had no idea where we were and didn't know what to expect.
Boring.
Every trip brings its own memory, and that's what's special about it.
Boring.
I like that our quarterback's boring, man. He's got one focus. It's keeping the main thing, right?
Keep the main thing. Typically, when you play to the standard, you win.
Well, hey, you get to the end of the interview where it actually gets exciting because he discusses his favorite off-season vacation spots. And he says, I do my due diligence with it, which you would expect Jaylen to do. Anytime you can go to the Caribbean islands, I think that never fails. Oh, I agree with that. He said, there's nowhere I'm dying to go. Otherwise, I would have done it already. But I love to explore Italy and branch out that way to the parts of the world I've never seen. How about that, Bill?
I love it. He wants to go to Italy. Look at Jaylen.
A little bit better than Cincinnati, I'd say.
He wants to go to Italy while you go to Maggiano's.
Well, he talks about his favorite go-to chain restaurant.
Does he? It's Papacitos or whatever. What is it? I've never heard of it.
Papacitos. It's a Tex-Mex. It's a Tex-Mex place in Houston, he says.
Yeah, Houston is his go-to spot. He stops by there. He gets the bonfire wings, but he also stops by and gets a spicy Creole 10-piece with 2 Boudin balls. I don't know what a Boudin ball is.
Well, either did the reporter, because then it says, what are those? And Jaylen's response, you'll have to find out.
Yeah, that's
boring.
That's my Jaylen.
That's the end of the article.
All right, 610.
That was it.
Yeah,
that was it. There you go. GQ.
What's crazy
cracked open the case.
I just got a text from a GQ reporter, and they wanted to talk to Ray about the jacket that came with the scarf attached.
Are you sure they're not talking about whether or not your
So what's
shirts
the
are extra
feedback
small?
on that? Was the bigger violation Bill not reading my Penn State book or Ray buying the twofer?
Someone asked in the YouTube chat if the jacket also had 2 mittens attached that you had to rip off before you could wear them.
That's fine. We got avalanche of texts roasting your ass. So
I want to hear me getting roasted when we get back.
Oh, my. 610-632-0975. We're back after this.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Rapping for the Panthers, I'm Ray Dunn. This update is brought to you by Indeed.com. Make the hiring process work for you with Indeed's end-to-end hiring solution. You can attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Start Indeed.com/credit. The 10-2 Eagles are getting set for Sunday's matchup with an improved Panthers team after a 1-7 start to the season. With 7 double-digit losses, the Panthers have played 4 consecutive games decided by 3 points or less. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni met with the media yesterday and talked about not looking past this Panthers team.
I think that would be malpractice by us as coaches and as players if we were up for some games and not up for some games. We know that this is a talented team that is continuing to play good football.
We previewed the Panthers game with ESPN Panthers reporter David Newton earlier on in the show. You catch that conversation one more time at 97.5thefanatic.com. Elsewhere in the NFL, big Thursday night football game tonight between the Packers and Lions in Detroit. And the Lions lost with the Eagles in driver's seat for the NFC's top seed if Birds were able to win out. Elsewhere, 76ers lost 106-102 to the Magic last night. The loss snapped a 2-game winning streak, the first of its kind this season. They'll be back in action Friday night against the Magic once again at Wells Fargo Center. And the Flyers and Panthers play tonight at 7 o'clock. You can listen to the game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Tom right down in the home of the 76ers and the Flyers. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
McVay Meet.
Really clever. The YouTube chat people are really clever. This text line saying Bill should read an audiobook version of my book.
So, yeah, there was this start where there was a few texters saying it'd probably be better for Bill to just listen to an audiobook version. I don't know if they were inferring that Bill couldn't read, but I think they were at least inferring that Bill probably is not the type of guy that would sit down with a book.
Well, but see, this is Bill had to read tons of books like I did to get through law school.
Yeah, I had to read for a living.
Yeah, but you understand, our audience has only gotten one side of Bill that they don't really believe that ever happened.
I know. If people could only have seen the lawyer version of me.
But
I'm a true Gemini. You know, the twin where you're like the dual personalities. I could turn it on in court compared to what I am now. But yeah, I don't know. People think I'm an idiot. That's what I'm starting to think. They think I don't even know how to read.
Okay.
They did say they did want Bill, as punishment for not reading it, to have to read the audiobook. Like, you have to do the voice.
I would do the voice.
Now.
I think I could do that.
You would do the voiceover for the book.
There we go. Do I get any royalties?
No. Also, there's a text defending Bill and Maggiano's. Now, first of all, let me just say that there's a friend of mine who's a hardcore South Philly Italian named Ace. And Ace is apoplectic that you actually admitted that you went to an Italian chain. He can't. He's beside himself. So there's a text that's defending Bill.
Yes. In defense of Bill, I've eaten at Maggiano's, and the food is very good. Jasper in Sixers.
Jasper's not Italian. I guarantee you Jasper's not Italian, is he? Is Jasper Italian?
There was no follow-up as to whether or not Jasper was an Italian.
There's no Italian's going to admit that it's really good.
Look,
I'm sure that a lot of Italians have been to Maggiano's, but there's and I'm not saying this is right or not. Italians have a stuffiness about Italian chains. They would rather go to an Italian restaurant that is not a chain, that is more, creative and independent.
And this 1 o'clock hour is brought to you by Maggiano's for authentic Italian cuisine.
Like, I would say that Maggiano's is probably, I've never been to a Maggiano's, so I can't tell. But I would think it's billed as a little higher than Olive Garden.
It is. It's not cheap necessarily, but I've told you before, if all things were equal, if it was just me and my wife, yeah, I would much rather go to a nice sit-down Italian restaurant with nice tablecloths and authentic food. But when I have my kids, and my son's 5 and my daughter's 10, it's a lot easier to go to a Maggiano's or a Brio. It's close. It's fast. They know what they're going to get. It's hard to bring them to a sit-down dinner. You know what I mean?
I'm not talking about your kids.
Yeah, if all things are equal, I'm not going there.
You can take your kids to Chili's.
Yeah,
crying out loud.
Well, I don't do that. I'm not a big Chili's guy. But I wouldn't say to my wife,
they don't have health shakes.
Chili's.
They don't have kind bars on the menu.
No, but I wouldn't say to my wife on a Friday night or a Saturday night, hey, you know what? Let's go to Maggiano's tonight. I wouldn't do that.
I'm not judging. I'm just.
No, but your friend is judging.
My friend Ace. He's like crazy. He says, I can't believe he admitted that.
Yeah.
He goes, absolute disgrace.
People on YouTube are checking in.
Mm-hmm.
One says, my mom's from Sicily, and she likes Maggiano's. Who cares if it's a chain?
Come on, man. You would admit that?
Maggiano's is not bad.
From Sicily?
Maggiano's is not bad.
Come on now. Come on. Stop it.
It's better than Olive Garden.
All right, so I suggested trading. Do we have any feedback on whether people would trade the Sixers for the Houston Rockets in their current form? Both teams in their current form?
All we got was Brian and Somerton. Mike, if that trade includes sending Morey back to Houston, just tell me where to sign.
It's an anti-Morey thing.
Yeah.
But I was serious about that. When you look at the young personnel that Houston team has, plus they have like 3 veterans that guide them, they're all cheap. The guy that makes the most money on the team is Van Vliet because he's on that monster contract. But everybody makes like $12,000 and less or $12 million and less.
Yeah, I think I'm probably taking the Rockets, man. But that was an interesting question that just popped in my mind when he said he would trade Morey to Houston. We've been going back and forth about whether we wanted the NFC Championship game in Detroit or Philly and all that. Who would you rather have as your head coach? Dan Campbell or Nick Sirianni? Who are you taking? You know where I'm going. I'm taking my man, Nick. You going Sirianni or Campbell?
Campbell.
I'm walking out.
Your mind works in a very interesting way.
Based off of what?
He didn't lose 6 of 7.
He's never been to a Super Bowl.
He never lost 6 of 7.
What does he do that Sirianni doesn't?
He's been building this team to a peak. So his track record is, I understand. The other guy went to a Super Bowl. But Dan Campbell never lost 6 or 7 with a good team that was 10-1. Never had a historic collapse. I'm sorry.
They weren't a good team.
Never had a historic collapse.
All right, we're not doing this.
Wait. Can we walk back to your brain hearing Morey to Houston, leading you to Campbell or Sirianni? Okay.
Well, it wasn't out of nowhere. We've been talking a lot about Detroit and the Eagles.
You said this
today.
made me think of this.
Well, because they're trying to trade the general manager. Whatever, Ray. I don't need you coming at me today. What do you got on the text board coming at me?
I don't need you coming at me today. Really? You're going to drop that today?
All I am is friendly to Ray.
All you do is bust his chops
this
every
entire
day.
week.
That is a lie.
It's been all week.
That is a lie. Oh, back to the chain restaurant question for a second. My dad just texted in defending because we've been to Maggiano's.
Your mind works in a very interesting way.
He said Capitol Grill is a chain. Eddie V's is a chain.
Capitol Grill and Eddie V serve steak. You slap a steak on the grill. You don't have to be creative making Italian specialties. You're not making meatballs where you have to have a blend. You're not making a nice gravy. Come on.
I'm standing by the Maggiano's. All right?
Steak chains are fine because they're high-end steaks.
I don't need this type of abuse from the two of you. I'm getting abused enough on the text
I got to
line.
rip your father for that comparison. It's not even in the same ballpark. I like Bill Colarulo Sr.
I think Capitol Grill's a solid place.
You get a steak, you slap it on a grill.
So it's different than Italian?
Certainly it is.
I don't know. Ray,
what do you mean you don't know?
Ray, who's coming at me on the text board in addition to you two?
It was mostly just the combination of people inferring that the audiobook is probably the better option for someone like you, that they are not surprised that you're not that much of a reader. Those types of things. I don't really have one in specific that really drives the point home. It was more the avalanche that I don't want to try and sift through of people saying, you didn't strike me as much of a book guy.
I don't understand how I give off this idiot vibe.
I got to be honest with you. I'll make a ruling here. Reading law books is nothing like on your spare time reading a book or a magazine. I don't think you're that type of guy either. I think you read law books because we had to.
Correct.
I don't think you're a joy reader.
No, I read out of necessity.
Because you got a little bit of ADD with you.
A little?
Yeah. So, and you would, like...
I think I got a
for
lot.
Instance, it's my book. You read 5 pages probably. And you got bored. Your ADD took you to a video of some sort.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Right? I do.
So it would be a struggle. It would be a freaking miracle for you to tell me one day that you read my book from cover to cover. Because I'm not thinking that's ever happening.
I cannot tell you the last book I read for leisure. I'm not a reader. Now, my wife, ferocious reader, reads every single night, loves to go through books left and right. I just don't do it. Ray, do you read leisurely?
Yeah.
What are you on right now? What are you reading right now?
At this moment, nothing. But when we get a basketball season, we're on the airport, I almost always have a book in hand.
Okay, but now it's a little different. Because if I'm taking a flight somewhere, I probably will bring a book with me. No, I don't bring a book.
Yeah, but then that carries into the
bring a
busing
book.
travel. That carries into, most of the time I'm in transit with them. I have book open or I got notes open.
You never read a book on an airplane?
Well, I'm thinking back now. When I had the law firm, I would read, business books. Books about... Yeah, books about different things that you could do, like marketing books and things like that.
Which is why Mike's book would be up the alley of what I usually read, whether I'm down the shore or traveling in season, because I usually read sports
It's a great
stuff.
shore book. My book. It's a great shore book. The inside story, the details I gave you, reporting as only I know how. I got stuff in this book that nobody knows. Like the Penn State quarterback getting his hand, a door closed on his hand 2 days before the game that nobody would know.
All right, don't give it away.
I'm not giving it away. I'm just giving you little tidbits.
You can't be giving it away if you're not going to get to it.
Yeah. No, we're going to have to read it. All right. Hold on. Let's change gears for a second because we started the show talking about tonight's matchup. Green Bay, Detroit. Someone texted in on this, Ray?
Yeah, someone's got the Packers by 7, and they were ripping the lines. This got lost in the avalanche of you not being able to read.
Well, Father Sean checked in.
Yeah, what did Father Sean say?
Father Sean said that the book might need more pictures for Bill.
All right, now Father Sean.
I got a lot of pictures in it.
Father Sean, is Father Sean a real priest?
Yes.
Yes. All right, so Father Sean, I don't know if you knew this. I was a minor in religion at Gettysburg. I have read plenty of the Bible and analyzed it. I took so many classes on the New Testament at Gettysburg. So even Father Sean's ripping me. I don't know what to do now. I'm even getting ripped by a priest. What happened here, Ray?
I mean,
all I am is nice.
Hey, listen,
I don't rip you at all.
You reap what you sow.
I don't say anything to Mike.
Mike said it. I didn't want to say it, but yeah, you kind of reap what you sow in this one.
Reap what you sow.
This is payback for all of yesterday, pretty much.
Non-readers.
Someone said I sound smart, but I don't look smart. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate that.
Actually, that's, you know what? We got a 610-632-0975. Does he sound smarter than he looks, or does he look smarter than he sounds?
All right, the best line of the day today on our YouTube chat wasn't making fun of you, it was making fun of me. It said that 2 things visible from space, the Great Wall of China and Bill's nostrils. Taking a shot at my nostrils.
Oh, my God.
Our YouTube chat is ruthless.
Well, what happened to Margaret? We had somebody named Margaret who had called in. What did Margaret want to say? I wanted to hear from Margaret. What'd she do? Drop off?
Did she drop?
Margaret was on the board. What happened to her?
I don't know.
We had 3 people on the board. All of a sudden, they hung up. They wanted to join in this convo.
Yeah, they wanted to bash Bill. I'll tell you.
Is that what it was? Then maybe they didn't want to bash Bill.
And that checks out.
It didn't say what they wanted to talk about. But Margaret popped up there. Oh, Margaret.
Oh, someone's taking a shot at Mike now.
Oh, yeah, God.
They want to know.
Take a shot.
They want to know if the hat you're wearing came with Ray's coat.
The hat. I want to explain something about the hat. A lot of people think this is a nerd hat. This happens to be a golf hat, but the logo's on the side. See it?
Oh, I see it.
Uh-huh.
Where's that from?
You see the logos on the side?
What course?
It is Penn Oaks. The people that live out there, Brandywine area, Penn Oaks.
Yeah, I like the hat.
Uh-huh.
That I wouldn't come with the jacket.
So let me explain. I got a check shirt on today, balanced by the plain hat. You see, there's always a method. You know, I get a check shirt. I don't want to be too busy with a logo on my hat either. So I went plain hat, brown color, check shirt.
See, now I'm rocking the golf shirt today, too. I got my golf.
What is that? What is that?
That's the Legacy Club. That's my club in Cherry Hill.
That's a pretty good logo.
I love the logo.
When do you allow dogs on your course?
I don't know. But they switched this logo a few years ago. I like it.
What is a dog doing on the course?
I'm not sure.
I'm not playing golf with dogs were roaming around on the course.
I'm not sure, but I do like the logo. Jumping
it's a cool
on the flag.
logo, but like usually you'll see an eagle or something like a bird, you know. You got a dog.
Ours used to be a smokehouse because there was this old smokehouse there, but it was falling down, so they knocked it down, so they had to change the logo. And then they went with this. What kind of dog is that?
That's a Scotty.
Scottish Terrier.
We didn't get around to that dog story yesterday about Keely Ringo's mother.
Yeah, her dog got stolen at Target.
Had a Shih Tzu stolen from Target. And so there's an APB out. Now, I'm surprised she didn't have a chip in it. My dog has a chip.
Yeah, most dogs have those now, right?
You can locate them through a little microchip.
Yeah, it's a sad story, though. I don't know why someone would steal someone else's dog from a store.
Actually, Ray, that's classic. What you just put on the screen?
Yeah, this was good. He has no idea, too.
He has no idea.
I don't get it, yeah.
They're comparing Bill to Putty from Seinfeld, which is pretty damn good.
It's pretty good.
That's really
Wait, now, was he an ongoing character?
Yes, he's an ongoing character who dates Elaine off and on.
Oh, I know this actor. I just looked him up.
David Warburton, his name is.
Specifically, he's staring at the back of the seat on the plane.
Yeah.
Oh, man, why am I getting abused today? I'm so nice to Ray. I'm so nice.
All the crap that you've given to Ray, you totally do. Wait, quick, Gary in Southampton. Gary, give us a quick.
Michael.
What's up, Gary?
It's Jerry the ref.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hey, listen, good. Maggiano's a Medigana. You know what I mean?
It is. Chain Italian places are Medigan. It's Italian for Medigans.
Yeah, Medigan. That's my my mother-in-law, Sicilian mother-in-law used to say, "What the hell are you going to places like that?"
Yeah, but I got kids, man.
No,
I got kids.
It is. See, that's the thing. Not that it's not good. You can be satisfied with something, but it is Italian food for Medigans, as we say.
A little bit, yeah.
All right, but that's all right. I mean, to each his own. All right. I think it's time for closing arguments.
Now, closing arguments on the Mike Missanelli Show. Brought to you by Lowenthal and Abrams Injury Attorneys. Injured in an accident, call 800-876-LAWYER or visit LowenthalAbrams.com.
All right. Listen, closing argument is very visible. Tonight is a big game that impacts the Philadelphia Eagles. The Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions. A lot of people thinking that the Packers can pull this one off tonight because the Lions are all banged up. The Lions are still a 3-point favorite, though, which is kind of a normal line. But here are the ramifications. The Lions lose tonight. The Eagles have a 50% chance to be the number 1 seed, and hence, if they take it all the way to the end, host the NFC title game at Lincoln Financial Field. If the Lions win, that reduces to 12%, which means the Eagles will have to play a little more football to get to that big game. And that big game would probably be indoors in Detroit, which I still don't think is a big deal to win. But obviously, you'd love to have the game here, the NFC title game in cold weather. So everybody needs to be a Packer fan tonight. Bill?
Yeah, go Pack go tonight. And what I'm really hoping for, not predicting it, but I'm hoping for, that you see Dan Campbell make a bonehead decision in game that loses it for the Detroit Lions, so that when we come back here tomorrow, Mike can make a public apology for saying he would take Dan Campbell over Nick Sirianni right now. Because for me, it's not even close. But I'm rooting for the Packers tonight. All the Eagles fans should be rooting for the Packers tonight. We want to see that game in Philadelphia, and maybe just as important, you want the Eagles to get the first-round bye because they haven't had a bye week since Week 5. If you look at the history of bye weeks and Super Bowl winners, they usually come a little bit later in the season. So let's get that bye week, rest up these players, especially the defensive players. A lot of young guys on that defense. So I'm rooting for the Packers tonight and Ray's favorite player, Jordan Love.
All righty.
Oh, there it is. Love train for Jordan Love.
That's the love train. Jordan Love, that's Ray's man.
And Ray, no problem with the jacket and the scarf, man.
Dude, you can't take an hour of abuse and then just be like, you know what? Because I just got attacked by everyone, I'm just going to be Ray now.
Yeah,
that's not how this works.
No problem at all, Ray.
No, that's not how this works. I'll remember it. It's been filed.
Bill's a snob because he's a Nordstrom snob. So that's why he laid that Burlington Coat Factory on you, and then that's why he relished in telling the text about does it come hooked up with a pair of mittens also.
The thing is, he got that one line of support. I just had to summarize about 15 texts.
I know. I got you. Ray, you took it like a champ today. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Listen, we were all over the place today, but we had some fun, and I hope you did too. Have a great rest of the night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.